Right meow.
Right meow. Right meow.
Right meow. I love how Meerkat JMC says mashed potatoes is just Irish guacamole.
Yeah.
Johnny Red Pop says,
There's nothing wrong with either one of those things. Mashed potatoes, guacamole. Yeah. Can you mix the guacamole with the mashed potatoes and have like all sorts of ethnicities mashed into one?
What's up, Cloak Reaper Games? Bob C. the Game Cat, meow. Redux Kai, Colt 45, Rayman 88, also known as Super Tramp Yuki, Chief the VR Gamer, Stay Warm 420, the Game Cat, meow. Lizard 1980, Alvo. Robert Sullivan, my dude. Let's start the show by saying good afternoon to AJ, PSVR Underground, and next up, Davestation, and best for last drum roll, Bryan from Without Parole. What's up, Robert Sullivan? Fish01223.
Did you say hi to me?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Robert did.
I think it was on behalf of someone else.
Fan VR, the Game Cat says, "Yay, I made it in time. We are so glad." Polish Paul VR, your PSVR dude. Hi, everyone. Hello, Polish Paul. Good to see you.
Was that sigh loud enough?
Gabriel 004, the secret agent Game Cat. Meow. Kev Garrett, Joystick Guru. Mikey Sensei. Matt H. Meow. Guyson, fist bump to you. Wimp Rogers, the Game Cat. Genetic Blasphemy. Cactus Power. Vandal. What's Jin?
Was it what now?
Spooky Dude, Reverse Flash, the Game Cat. What's up, y'all?
What's up, y'all?
Stop making fun of me.
It's hard not to. I make fun because I love. Oh, there's some music. Here's some music for everybody. Bum, 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 bum. Music. And now we get rid of the music and we fade to the scene. This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every... I always forget what day it is. Thursday night. Oh, God. Every day that gets closer to the awards show, I get a little bit more stressed out.
3 more days.
Don't say
that.
3
more days.
That means I don't get to sleep for like 3 more days. 3 more days. I'm Bryan Powell from this channel right here with that Parole. Also from this channel to my far, far left, that is AJ from not only this channel, but PSVR Underground. And right to my middle.
I made a noise that time.
You did. In a very well lit room is Dave from Davestation VR.
Yeah, changing it up this week.
Changing it up. I'm actually like looking at your your background and like trying to see if I can read some of the CDs that are on the wall or games, whatever those might be.
Some nice artwork
games,
there.
books, all kinds of stuff.
I
need to hang it up. The jazz guy is great. I got that from my parents.
It's a really nice painting too.
I will say, somebody sent me a video today, and they had the, I can't tell you who, because that would spoil something, and in the background, they had the big box, like, PC version of The Secret of Monkey Island, and I was like, that just brought me right back to my childhood, and I was like, that is awesome. Good stuff.
I was more of a Curse of Monkey Island guy, but Secret of Monkey Island was great, too.
One thing, real quick, on Discord, I didn't realize you can get free games if you have, like, the Nitro or whatever, and all the Curse of the Monkey Island games are on there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. Good stuff.
I would totally check those out, man, but like, I just don't.
You have no time. Dude.
Was Curse? Was that the Telltale series?
Curse was the cartoony one.
The third one. Because it was Secret of Monkey Island, then it was Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge, then it must have been Curse, then it was Escape, I think, which was
it's the one with Murray, the evil demonic talking skull.
Murray's in all of them.
Love that guy. Well, that's true too.
Yeah, I hated the Telltale ones. As a huge fan of Monkey Island, I hated the Telltale ones. I was like, man,
not the biggest fan.
No. Alrighty, guys. So what do we do here on GamesCast Live? First, we tell everybody. To make sure you subscribe to this channel right here. If you don't already, make sure you subscribe to AJ over there at PSVR Underground. Make sure you subscribe to Dave on Davestation VR. As I get tangled up in all sorts of wires here. Also, make sure you hit us up on Patreon. Patreon.com/withoutparole.
Games.
$1 or more every single month. We discovered last week that there's actually a delay and that they're not slow. There's just that much of a delay, and it's how it sounds like they are.
We're a little
very
slow.
Quick about that.
It's
just
right.
In general.
I'm pretty slow too, so maybe it all balances out. Also, make sure you join us the weekend following this one for the 2019 GameCat meetup. Man, that's going to be exciting. It's in Six Flags New England. 1
week from today.
That's not right at all.
We'll be flying out.
There we go.
I will be flying out.
Yeah, it's like, that information isn't relevant to anyone.
Dave and I will be flying out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that'll be Saturday, a week from this Saturday, the 19th. So we're all going to meet up at Six Flags New England, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to do the whole Fright Fest thing, the haunted house stuff, so make sure you do that. It should be great. But the thing I'm more concerned about is, like I said before, the 2019 PlayStation VR award show. And every single day that gets closer to the show gets bigger than it was the day before. And so that adds to my stress level, my workload. And that's why, like, if you don't see stuff going up on the channel as regularly as it usually does, and Let's Plays and reviews or whatever, breaking news reports, Jesus, we have so much to talk about today because we didn't even do a breaking news report on some huge news. That's why, because I'm like hard at work behind the scenes on the award show. God willing, it comes together, man, because it is in lots of little pieces right now. I just need to start stitching. Yeah. All right, that takes care of all the housekeeping. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happened this week, guys. There's a lot of stuff that happened.
Let's talk about the big one first.
So yeah, the biggest news, of course, being which we almost actually did a GAMESCAST, like a breaking GAMESCAST on the day it was announced. But Jim Ryan recently sat down with Wired.com. And they must have some people on the inside there. They know some people over there because that's where the last exclusive. That's where the last information that we heard, I think, broke from them. But anyways,
yeah, they exclusive Mark Cerny interview. Like they must have some kind of like you guys, instead of doing E3, we're gonna just give you guys all of the
just Wired.
Yeah. Why? I mean, I don't know what their distribution numbers are. Like how many people read Wired. But I
know they have 10 million followers on Twitter, so maybe that has something.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, don't they still have like a print magazine too? Because not many outlets actually have a magazine you could pick up and be like, the cover story is PS5. Like.
Yeah, and I'm sure that will be the cover story for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's an interesting way to divulge news, and I'm sure it's bringing a lot of attention to Wired's online site. So
I had no idea who they were until they started breaking out. PS.
Oh, really? I read them semi-regularly, but it's one of those sites where they paywall you after like 3 articles. Right. You got to pay money.
Right. But yeah, they shared and confirmed some questions we had regarding the PlayStation 5. Oh my God, you guys. It's almost as if it's actually happening because it is. Couple things. First of all, they confirmed that it is going to have ray tracing, but not through the software side, which I think is a good idea. It's going to be through the hardware side. And essentially the significance of that is they're not going to rely on bugs and stuff. Stuff can go wrong software-wise. And when you have the hardware in place, it just tends to run a little bit better. So it's going to have some pretty beefy power to be able to do this.
Yeah. And to do things like on the software side of things, I mean, it just eats up like processing power and stuff. Like it makes things way harder to do. I remember when they were trying to do software anti-aliasing on like the PlayStation 2 and stuff, and it really just like fucked things up.
Yeah, one thing I'm really excited about is what they mentioned with the solid state drive and how a lot of games that come out now are so big because they repeat parts of the game to make it quicker to read on a normal disk drive. And this is a little bit getting in the weeds here, but like a normal disk drive uses a physical thing to go find the data it's looking for, like a little pin to read it,
right?
Or a laser or something. I'm not sure. I think it's a pin. But with a solid state drive, you don't have to do that. So the game sizes might actually get smaller because they won't have to repeat those parts of the software to actually get it to run quickly. So that, could be cool.
The interesting about that, you say that they're going to be smaller, but we now know that the discs are going to be 100 gigabyte optical discs.
Yeah, I said they might be smaller.
Well, they won't be smaller. I mean, by comparison, like if you were to
more efficient, I guess.
More efficient, right? Because obviously, most games now that are coming out, they're optimized for like 1080p displays or maybe 4K at best. And now, like with PlayStation 5, they need to have that storage space to hold all those like 8K renders or textures and stuff.
I'm gonna have to buy a new TV again. Jesus Christ!
I still don't have a 4K TV. Like I'm just letting that technology slide completely. And like because I play everything in my PlayStation VR headset. I don't.
Yeah.
I watch television shows from 1989 on Netflix, so it doesn't matter what I have for a television.
No, some of those look good in 4K, man. Let me tell you. Aliens on Blu-ray. So just in case for those that don't know, we currently use Blu-ray discs, and those have a capacity of 50 gigabytes. So these are going to be doubling the capacity on a standard disc. But yeah, man, 4K TV, although I don't really use it very much, it does look pretty nice. and I got it, and then I got a VR, and I'm like, well, I don't really need this anymore. But luckily, I finally got back into it a little bit. So, yeah, these games are going to probably be pretty big. Now, you're right about the way they process them, the efficiency-wise. They've also talked about how it's going to have a solid-state drive, which is going to be big for loading time, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, essentially they mentioned stuff about maybe like having to download the game first, like you're going to have to install it. But if it is faster, then it's not going to be that much of a problem. But that's something we had with the PS3 that I was not a fan of. That was one thing I loved about PS4 was it was like, oh, I no longer have to put in a game and download the entire game, wait for it, wait for the bubbles, install the bubbles. We still have patches and stuff, though, so it's not too much different. But
yeah, and as far as installing stuff goes, it sounds like there's going to be a lot more granularity about like what you can install when, and like say you don't care about the multiplayer version of a game or you don't want to wait for it. You can just install from the disc the single player campaign and not even worry about the rest and just like hop right in.
Do you guys remember when the PlayStation 4 was revealed and they were kind of showing stuff that never came to fruition very well? Like you could see your friend playing a game, and then like with the click of a button, you'd be downloading that and jumping into their game, and it seemed like there was this like granular aspect to it, where it was multiplayer stuff and versus the single player stuff. And I feel like it just never. I mean, there are games certainly that when they're downloading, they say, "Oh, you can jump in now." Like Blood and Truth has that,
Yeah.
Whereas like, you can jump in now, but if you want to play these extra bonus missions, you got to wait until the whole thing's downloaded. But man, it's like
sometimes it's even worse than that. Like I think it was Doom, or some game that I was playing flat screen. I installed it and I was like, sure, I'll start playing before it's done, and then it cut me off after the first mission, and I had to wait like 2 more hours for the rest of it to finish. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like. Don't even tease me like that. I'll just wait for the whole thing,
Yeah, so this sounds like it's sort of it sounds like it's sort of like finally fulfilling some of those promises,
Oh yeah, for sure. And that thing about like you can look in a game to see what your latest mission was or like what the available quests are and just hop right into that section of the game.
Yeah,
that's a cool thing too for single player stuff. I think. I'm just really curious to see what the UI looks like.
Yeah,
what is it actually? How does it handle?
That is what they said, basically. Sorry. They did mention that there's going to be a new revamped UI, which I thought the UI from PS4 was an improvement, especially the PlayStation Store. That was a huge improvement. The PlayStation 3 store was god-awful, and it's still like clunky and doesn't load at all and stuff. But, that is one thing they said was the new UI. Go ahead.
I want the cross-media bar back. I like the cross-media bar from PlayStation 3. I was a big fan. I mean, it's like not it's not easily accessible for like noobs and stuff. But like, man, once you get used to it, you're like clicking through and you're like looking through all these options you'll never ever need ever. So that's pretty good. I think we need to give a shout out, don't we? What? Oh, that poor kitten! What are you doing to that poor kitten?
Oh, is that a rat?
It's a desert rain frog.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I love
original Uberbitch, the game cat
frog there.
For the €5 donation. It says, "Chow cats, here's your fix of pizza, Brian. Thank you very, very much. We love you dearly." I felt bad because I felt like last week we got that huge donation, and I feel like I was way lovier and way friendlier to everyone else who gave us a donation after that. And I wasn't like, dude, thank you so much for the fucking ridiculous donation. I'm like, bad at this.
And I just want to, on this occasion, remind people, Bryan quit his job, and all of his money comes from tips and Patreon now. So he didn't mention that before. I'll mention it on his behalf.
Thank you.
Guys, I know you appreciate what he's doing here. I appreciate what he's doing here. I watch this shit too. If you got an extra buck or two, give him some ramen. Get him a pepperoni on his pizza.
We now rely 100%. Well, Bryan relies 100% on you guys. So you are keeping this channel running. So.
And for anyone who doesn't understand how tips work in the show, if you do leave a tip, through YouTube, the YouTube chat, it's we basically just interrupt the show and we give you a shout out and you get to say whatever you want because we'll read your comment. That's for sure.
And you get a sound effect that is randomly chosen by AJ.
Yeah. But back to the UI though, they did mention that. So in this generation, one thing that Mark Cerny said that I was like, huh, is he said you don't know who's playing a game until you launch the game. Well, Mark Cerny, with all due respect, allow me to correct you, sir. you can actually hover over a title in the game, and it'll tell you the list of people playing that game, even if they're offline. So I don't know what he meant by that, but he basically said that there's going to be new ways to see what everybody's playing and all this stuff at once. And it kind of reminded me of the Wii interface. If you remember, you have all the Miis running around, and I think it would tell you what they were playing or something. But so I'm interested to see the new UI. That's one of the bigger other features that I noticed that they were talking about. Honestly, like I said, not one of my biggest interests, but still interesting to see what we're going to get in terms of that.
It's just going to be the Oasis. You're going to walk in,
Oasis.
you're just going to like grab games, and you're going to see real people. All your friends are just going to be hanging out there.
One thing that they didn't cover, and I really hope is a feature of this, and this is just speculative, but I'd hope it would come, is something like a VR-specific interface. Because right now, if you go into VR, you're just looking at a flat version of your games.
Yeah.
And it's not tailored to VR. It's not designed for VR. So to put that kind of effort into making like a VR-specific space where, so like Oculus Quest, the Oculus stuff, you have a room. And on PC, you can like decorate it, invite people over. And it's so easy to launch games because it's designed for VR so that it's very user-friendly. And if they don't do something like that, that's like a huge missed opportunity, I think.
You are a genius, Dave. I didn't even think about that. One thing I was clamoring for this generation was 3D VR themes, like when you pre-order a PSVR game. But they were saying that there's not a way they could integrate it. I was talking to actually Trump Pixel about it, and they basically said that like you technically can like fake it, like the Rick and Morty theme, dynamic theme, like has kind of like it gives like an illusion of VR in some way. But that is something, if you look at the menu of the demo disc and then the menu of PSVR Worlds, oh my God, like to have an interface like that all around you and everything, and just be able to boop, boop, boop. And
that is such a good idea for customizable, downloadable. Like, dude, if they had a Tetris Effect one, I would buy that shit and never remove it from my PlayStation. I would use it all the time.
But great call on that one for sure. So we also know that the headset's going to be, or I'm sorry, this is probably my favorite part of this information, to be honest with you. And this is something I'm so excited to discuss because it kind of paves the way for the discussion of what games we're going to see in the future. And that is the controllers. Now, they said that the controllers are going to be similar. He said the controllers looked similar to the DualShock 4, but they were a little bit different. Mainly, they used USB Type-C, which I actually honestly believe that the HMD is also going to use Type-C for PSVR2. And
I think you're right. Because that's how Oculus is doing it with Quest. The link mode, it's just a USB-C cable to your computer and it works. So
right. But the thing that really got my attention, really, really got it, was there's going to be haptic feedback and adaptive triggers on the joysticks and the triggers and everything. And that is what really got my attention. Because for flat games, it's going to add immersion. They said like pulling a bow. There's going to be like some resistance to pulling the bow. And then, the other thing they mentioned is like they got to demo a platformer that was designed by Japan Studios, the same developers that made our Lord and Savior Astrobot. But essentially, this was the most interesting thing to me, is that they said when they jumped into sand and mud, that there was like resistance on the joystick. Mm-hmm. And then when they were on ice, that it had a higher frequency, and it felt like they were more like gliding across the ice. When they were in water, same with the resistance. And then this was the most interesting part, when they were on a bridge, that it was like, it felt bouncy. And my God, like that to me was just like, so it'll help flat screen games be more immersive, which I think is cool. But for us, that's amazing. And these developers making this demo, tinkering around with this stuff, makes me wonder, are these things we're going to see in Astrobot 2 or another platform?
Probably. I would assume so. Yeah.
Sandy areas, muddy areas, water, ice, bridges.
Well,
stuff
you
like
you already saw how much they leveraged the abilities of the DS4 in Astrobot in ways that nobody else has on PSVR.
Amazingly.
So the fact that they're doing this demo and they've done that in the past makes it seem to me like a no-brainer that they're going to be like kind of the leading game in defining what that can be, what that feels like. They also said Gran Turismo they played with that stuff. And I guess in regular Gran Turismo on PS4, they've removed vibration entirely because people said it was too obnoxious. But now they can...
No. They removed it because they couldn't do it on the OG, the base PS4. It could only work on the Pro PS4.
There was a little blurb about people thinking it was too constant and vibraty, and it sort of bothered them. But the fact that it'll have this like nuance to it, where it's like not just constantly shaking your fucking hands off, but like a little bit, and then if you go into the dirt, then it's a lot, and like that seems pretty cool.
So this is my other theory. Are you ready?
Yes.
I think the controller is going to be able to split apart.
I don't know about that.
So we've actually seen patents like a while back. I remember when there was a PlayStation 3 patent for a DualShock 3 controller that had basically moved bulbs on each side of a DualShock 3, and the thing was splittable. You could split it apart. So, I mean, when you think about it that way, obviously with using inside-out tracking for next gen, you won't need the move bulbs there, but you can still have a DualShock 4 that has all the cameras in place and everything that it needs to take the controller, play it like a normal DualShock 4, and then split it apart, and then suddenly you have your move controllers with the analog sticks on each one. And this makes sense because then you're not asking people to buy a ton of accessories. I mean, you know the number of comments I see on a daily basis that say, does this need those movement sticks? Right? And I say yes, and then they go, oh, forget it then. The number of people who aren't buying certain games because they don't have the right controller for it is insane. PSVR is already a huge investment, so to be able to say, this is your controller, and it does everything you need. That is like, I totally agree, AJ. That is 100%. If they don't do it, they're insane because they've already been thinking about it. Now they just need to bring it to fruition.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure. The other thing that you have to think about is the reason that they introduced the Move controllers is for cost reasons. They didn't want to have to create a whole new product and make people pay for a whole new thing that they might already have. So it entered people into it easily. If this controller has everything we're talking about, adaptive triggers, incredible haptic feedback, it splits into 2 motion-tracked controllers, they're all going to cost $100. And if you break one, sorry, you got to spend $100.
I mean, 2 Move controllers right now already cost $100. Plus a DualShock 4 costs what, $50? So it's $150.
Yeah.
So if you tell people, hey, you get for $90, you get a controller that does the work of $160 worth of shit. You're like, oh, hey, that's actually a really good deal for VR gamers. Screw everyone else.
If you're a VR gamer, but what I'm saying is if that's the standard controller for everybody, a lot of people are going to say, I don't care about the VR shit. I don't care about splitting it. I don't want to pay $90. Maybe
they'll have a VR model and a non-VR model.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
right? Then it was your choice. Then you say, hey, you know what? I'm never going to get into VR. I can buy the boring ass DualShock 5, or from the get go, well, I'm gonna play games on a flat screen and in VR. Here's your DualShock 5 VR version.
I think regardless of if it splits or not, it's going to be at least $70 or $80, because even Joy-Cons are $80, and that's because A, they split apart and they attach all kinds of different shit, but B, they have the HD rumble. Yeah. Which I've never seen a game that uses it as well as what it sounds like Sony's going to do on the PS5. But that's still what they're charging you for. And that's steep. I mean, if you break your Joy-Cons, $80. Like, Jesus Christ. They're literally
I just hope they're a little bit more durable. Because this gen, the DualShock 4, I think the biggest knock I have on it is the durability. The stuff peeled all the time. And like, dude, my DualShock 3, I could chuck that against a brick wall and I could still use it. And there's nothing that could kill that thing. But to carry on the conversation though, so we're going to integrate this patent that just got released. And it showed that there was the HMD and the controllers and stuff, how they have cameras in the front, cameras in the back. And they've basically been hinting at that it has both. And obviously, let's disclaimer, a patent doesn't mean anything. A patent means this is stuff that they're taking, they're testing. Yeah. We don't know what they're going to end up keeping and what they're going to end up discarding. So this is all basically speculation. But they are trying to work with what they're testing right now is something that shows both inside and inside out tracking and outside in tracking. And for those who don't know, inside out tracking is where, well, let me start with outside in tracking. That is what we basically use right now. That is a camera that tracks something that is like, you know, for us, it's light. And they have the light bars and stuff like that. For inside out tracking, it's where the camera is on the HMD, the cameras are on the controllers, and it looks outside and then judges how to adapt to the environment and stuff like that based on what it's looking at outside. And we know that it's supposed to have better tracking that way for the most part, because
it's kind of a trade-off. I think the idea you're talking about of combining the two would be the best possible situation. But yeah, like as an Oculus Quest owner, you guys, I mean, Bryan, you've got one too. There are times when the cameras don't see what you're doing. And it just happens. You know, there are still tracking problems just like there are on PSVR. But the nice thing is you don't have to rely on these big bulbs of light. They're like invisible infrared sensor things that they just pick up. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's
my guess is that Bryan, I'm gonna let you. I want to hear what your thoughts on this, but my guess is that the PSVR2 or whatever is going to have really, really good tracking. And I'll leave it there.
I would hope so.
Absolutely. I think Sony knows right now that they're, you know, that, I mean, it's easy for PC VR gamers to make fun of PlayStation VR and say, oh, you shouldn't use that because fucking tracking sucks and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, anytime you hear that, you go, they've never actually tried PlayStation VR. They just see outdated technology from 7 years ago and they go, oh, it must be garbage. And not actually knowing how accurate it is and like how amazingly one-to-one it is.
When it works, yeah. I mean,
when it works, we certainly have problems, right? Everyone has problems, but we definitely have probably, I would say, in the grand scheme of the VR, you know, world, you know, PlayStation VR tracking is the worst of, you know, a bunch of good tracking solutions. But like it's not.
But it's fine.
But it's fine.
It's also,
right? It works great.
Technology. For what it is, it's a miracle. It's actually pretty genius that they pulled it off the way they did. It is the only limitation. Honestly, the biggest limitation isn't even the tracking. It's the joysticks, if anything.
I mean, it's the light tracking that your body can block and that, you know, that reflections and other things can get in the way of. All I was going to say about that was that Sony knows full well that they need to make sure that that's something they perfect for the next generation. Like they need to make sure that's not something anyone can ever point at them and go, your tracking sucks. That is going. We're going to have like the best tracking next gen.
The thing that's exciting for me too, though, is before we get PSVR 2, we are seeing the beginning of the era where developers have figured out how to do 360 tracking. Like Iron Man VR, by all accounts, will let you turn around in 360 and the controllers just work regardless of where you are facing the camera. And if that's true and that works the way people have said it does in the demos and stuff, that's a big step forward. And that's a software fix. So if they can figure it out, that's the kind of thing that other developers might be able to reverse engineer, or maybe they share it with Sony and Sony shares it with people. Like, I think that's a good step forward until we get to PSVR 2.
Right.
The fact that there is a game coming out that lets you do full 360.
Right.
You know,
and that's something that has to be kind of remembered when we talk about PlayStation 5, is that we love to speculate about PlayStation VR 2. There's some, you know, patents that we can, you know, look at and go, oh, well, maybe this, maybe that. But really the thing we have to remember is that when PlayStation 5 launches, it's not launching with PSVR 2. Mark Cerny was very clear about that during the first Wired interview.
Yes, and I can also back that up with Hiromichi Takahashi, who is the director, I think the lead director of Last Labyrinth. I love that guy. He's awesome.
He loves you too.
He said that SIE basically said that has told him that PSVR 2 is not going to be released at the same time, and that it'll likely be 2 to 3 years from now. I could see it being...
Yeah, that makes sense. Give it a year after launch.
I could see at the least, anywhere from a year to 2 years. I don't think it's going to be 3 years from now. I think it'll be
probably
1 or 2 years from now.
Yeah, but that's
still such a good piece of tech, though. I mean, like the headset itself.
Yeah.
Forget the controllers. Forget anything else. Like the headset itself is the most comfortable by far. it works.
It
and
feels like a couch on your face. It's so good.
I mean,
that sounds awful. A couch on your face?
Like a soft leather couch on your face? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. But
I mean, comparatively to other VR headsets, it feels pretty damn good. I think
very, very
the
good.
Quest is fine.
Feel like a brick.
The Quest is fine. I've like managed to like really kind of like find the sweet spot where it's like not pulling down on my face and not like doing, but it's still like I'm like, this is not comfortable compared to PSVR.
Absolutely,
it's fine, but it's not like.
It's also going to be lighter too. It's going to be lighter than the current one, so I imagine this thing is going to feel really damn good. Contact lenses.
So I know we speculated about games quite a bit in terms of we're talking about like a Sobi team doing something with a platformer in experimenting with the DualShock 4, talking about Polyphony Digital experimenting with Gran Turismo. This is, and we just want to again be very clear, this is something that like Sony and PlayStation is kind of notorious for. For every time a new generation of hardware rolls around, they take an old game and they just kind of port it in. Remember Gran Turismo 2000? Like,
yes.
A game that never actually came out. That's
what they did with Gran Turismo Sport, and that's how they tested the haptic feedback with it.
Right, exactly. So when we're talking about like next gen, like Astrobot or next gen Gran Turismo, these are not, just because we're talking about games by these developers that are similar to the games that they work on now, does not mean these are going to be launch titles or even something that's going to be ready even a year or two into development. It usually takes Polyphony like many years to get a new Gran Turismo game out. So I don't think we're going to see any of this stuff for a very long time.
Johnny, I don't know if I can approve this comment or not.
I don't know.
You guys see this one?
I'll look at it now.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing we do know is, like I said, they are messing around with these concepts.
Oh no, you got rid of it? That was good.
They
man.
are.
I didn't do anything.
I've been in that situation a lot of times. Just saying. Yeah, I was like, AJ calls and I was like, too many things going on right now.
There's at least going to be, I just love the idea that they're messing with these different environmental effects with resistance and stuff. Even if it's not Astrobot 2, it's likely we'll see these things integrated into other platformers, into other games and stuff. And, I'm not saying that this was an Astrobot 2 demo. This was likely just some tech demo kind of thing that they do. They do this all the time, every single game. Some of the games that I've heard about, it's always just like they never become games. They're just like concepts, and it's how they, they gauge and like control it and stuff like that.
All right, so real quick, is there any other major stuff on PS5 we want to cover? Because this is one of those nights where I only have an hour, so I got to leave in about 27 minutes, and I want to make sure we talk about Concrete Genie and Minotaur Arcade Volume 1.
Right. The only other thing is Last Point Games, who made the Shadow of the Colossus remake. They said that they're working on their next big title. We don't know if that's a PSVR title.
Did they clarify whether that was? I mean, obviously, Blue Point is.
All they said was big title.
They said take that as you will.
Okay. Because I mean, I don't think we've seen an original IP by them yet, right? All they've done is remaster old games.
Right. Yeah, I assume that's what it'll be. I mean, if it's Ico for PS5 launch title, some crazy version of Ico, I would be like, ooh,
really?
This is good. But I don't think they would.
They already remastered it for PS3. It's like I feel like we've seen a PS2 one, a PS3 one. I was like, you know what, like we gotta.
I don't think I ever played the PS3 one, honestly. I've only played the original.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, PSVR Generation 1 will be compatible with PS5, which is nice. There was also
all your PS4 games will be back.
There was also a leak saying that this ridiculous PS5 model is actually the way it's going to look. I personally don't care. I think it looks awesome if that's what it is. But we know that even that rendition is not completely accurate. So even if that's kind of what it looks like, that's not going to be exactly what it looks like. Right. So we have no way of knowing.
The strange thing they're saying is like it's like dev kits so far have been big, bulky boxes, right? Like no style at all, and it's sounding. I think the rumors have been that this is actually like a dev kit, right? People like looking at stuff ahead of time and be like, oh, it looks remarkably similar to those drawings that done up a month ago, that we all kind of laughed at. And when I say we all, I mean you all, because I didn't laugh at it. I think it looks good. All right, that sounds like we need to give shout out to Oh, Johnny Mentology himself. Where's the Game Cat moniker, dude? All right, it's all right. We'll take the tip, even if you're not a Game Cat. $5 or €5 for the
in context of what he just tried to say a minute ago. I don't know how you feel about saying you want to take the tip, but
it's quite all right, man. Quite all right, man. I know what I'm doing here for the happy ending. You're very welcome, and thank you.
But yeah, no. If somebody says that this is what it's going to be, I take that with a grain of salt. It could be similar, but it's not going to be. Those pictures are not even accurate. So, and then
I'd be happy with it. I like it. It would stand out on my shelf, not just another little black rectangle in another shape.
Yeah. Bob's T says, "Is Elysium game still coming?" That game is, but they are regrouping because they failed their Kickstarter. However, they said that they're making a new roadmap. So they're currently making a new roadmap for that. Polish Paul VR, your PSVR dude, says, check out Everspace 2. They said on Kickstarter they might bring it to PS5. So we will keep an eye on that.
We know what might means. Might always means no fucking way. It never fucking happens. Every time someone says might, it never comes. That's why we don't report that shit.
What about Gorn, though?
PS5 has a lot of...
They never said might. They just said, we'll let you know. And then they let us know.
I'd like to finally
might happen. We'll look into it, whatever.
Finally get Seeking Dawn. But that pretty much wraps it up for the PS5 conversation. That is some really good stuff. Like I said, come on, guys. Give us those splitting apart controllers. I would love to see that. Chat, let us know. What gets you most excited about the PS5 stuff that's been leaked, what we just talked about, the controllers, the haptic feedback, possible Astrobot 2. Is that what you want most? Gran Turismo, let us know. But yeah, so we did get 2 games this week, and one of them is Concrete Genie.
Yeah. Not full VR. So yeah, I'll talk about this one first. I really enjoyed this VR mode. As far as like optional extra VR modes, this is one of my favorites up there with like Ace Combat 7 or Gran Turismo, because it's such a unique thing. Like, I haven't played a game like this. There's creative games. So basically the concept is this. You are painting, but with nature. So you can make a tree, you can make some flowers, you can put a rainbow in the sky, aurora borealis, stars, all this stuff. But it's in 3D space. So you're basically creating like a cool little hangout zone for yourself as you go. And there's a little bit of a campaign to it, but it's just so beautiful. Like, it looks so good in the headset. It's so colorful, it's so crisp. And there was just something like magical about it to me, where I feel like it's one of those things where you could put somebody who's never tried VR into it, and they would have a great time, and they'd not be like, oh, what do I do? What's the turn button? You just point and click on stuff. It's very user-friendly. So, like, your kid sister might like it, your grandma might like it. It's one of those games that I think just anybody could see the potential of VR in it, even though there's not a whole lot of game to it. It's a good experience. So I wouldn't say buy the game for full price. I did, but I wouldn't suggest that people spend $30 on it unless you want to actually play the flat screen game. If it goes on sale for $10, or if it's a free PS Plus game, definitely try out the VR mode, because that kind of blew me away a little bit. I wasn't expecting much.
That's surprising.
I really liked it. I know not everybody feels the same way about it, so it might just be me, but what'd you guys think?
Real quick.
Oh, hey.
That awful sound effect is for Nihilist Ryan, the game feline, for $5 donation. Says, give us a haptic vest, Sony. I want to feel those hits. All right, that works.
Can you guys name that cat?
Actually, already Sony doesn't need to make one. There's a bunch of this.
It was like mad distorted and stuff. I'm not even sure.
I don't know what cat.
Tell it was a cat.
It was an ocelot. Thank you, Nihilist Ryan, the game feline. But yeah, so this is the thing, is I agree with some of Dave's points. I don't think I liked it as much as Dave, even though I did enjoy it, and I do agree with a lot of what he said. The 3D mode was awesome. The 3D mode was like, this is amazing in VR. It's so colorful, and it's pretty crisp. There is a little bit of blur once it gets really like tighter resolution and stuff, but it was so much color, so much like particle effects going everywhere. You have this 3D space, you have the cute little genie guy who you can you have the whole book that you can pick stuff and choose and make a tree pop up. But then the other 4 levels it's a 3D environment, but all the painting, all the creation stuff is just on a flat wall, and it's just 2D drawings, and you can still interact with them, which is cool. But the second I got to those 2D modes, it really lost all the magic for me. It was like just a few minutes, and I didn't want to really do it anymore. But that 3D mode, I wanted to stay in like all day and just play around and mess around, make fireworks shoot out of the sky, change the night to day.
So nice. The particle effects are so good on that for the fireworks and all the stuff swirling around you. Like,
right.
Oh, man.
I was hoping for a short little like adventure thing, and then, I think they sort of did that. Like where the guy's like, oh, you need to do this to make me happy, and then you'll get a new thing to be able to plant. It's like sort of a mini campaign or training or something. Man, Polish Paul really hates the 3D mode. He says it was boring as well, planting some plants and trees and watching boring stuff happen. Yeah, I think Polish Paul has no soul.
He liked Vroom Kaboom.
I'm pretty sure he's got no...
You can kind of take those two things and go...
He's a heartless motherfucker, is what I'm saying. But KevGrat mentions a good point. The VR mode should have been sold separately for $9.99. I like that idea a lot. Just a standalone version of it for cheap.
I'll tell you, I watched you guys play, and I was bored out of my skull. No.
Well, you weren't experiencing it.
No, you're right. Absolutely. But like, not being able to actually be the one creating, you're just like picking the things and kind of, pulling, and I get it, it's like I haven't tried it in VR, so I can't really judge, but I mean, I wouldn't, if I saw this for $10, I wouldn't pay for it. And what I'm really upset about is that the thing I was most interested in when they first detailed the 2 PlayStation VR modes that were going to be in Concrete Genie, they said on the PlayStation blog, let me just read this quote real quick. When our art director Dave Smith and I first sat down with Dom to have a look at what he and Pixelopus had created, we knew immediately that this world and its magic could provide some incredible inspiration for a PSVR experience. We wondered, amongst the beautiful art and storytelling of Concrete Genie, what it might feel like to get to know a genie one-on-one. Where would we go? What kinds of things would we do together? In our first PSVR mode, VR Experience, you'll follow a curious genie named Splotch beneath Denska's ominous lighthouse on a quest to unlock a mysterious power while using your living paint in a completely new way. That does not exist. That's the part I'm interested in, and it doesn't exist in the game.
Well, I think the only thing that changed about that is
that there's no
lighthouse. No, there. I mean, in a way,
I watched, and like that does not at all sound like what was described, what I saw you guys playing.
It sounds like they ended up scaling back what they were considering initially.
By half.
It sounds like they maybe, but I'm not saying that what that quest mode was entirely. It's not just free paint, is what I'm saying. There is a progression to it in the first time you play it, and it's not like a campaign or it's not like a quest, but there is some kind of unlocking, and you have to do this at this time, and I don't know. It's more than just painting stuff freely.
I hear you.
Until you get bored of it. So
I did think it was beautiful for what it was. It was really pretty, and if you're gonna play the regular game, then I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, as a standalone thing, like I said, that one mode is a little bit better than some of the other experiences we've had. But yeah,
it's certainly better than like Tomb Raider. Blood Ties or whatever the fuck that thing was.
I definitely enjoyed it more than some of the other like tacked on things because it was really quality. I mean, this is a Sony product, so even a small experience, they're gonna have some significant like awesome things about it. And I really like the one player mode. Real quick, Jesse Smith asks, are they doing backwards compatibility for other PS systems like PS1, 2, and 3? I don't think so. Most likely those will be offered again from the PSN store or some kind of service. We don't know. They haven't confirmed that. We only know that PS4 is going to be backwards compatible.
Right.
So I would imagine those.
I would say it's highly unlikely, which is
I don't think so.
Yeah. Did we miss a tip from Professor Lilith here? $2 donation. Thank you very, very much, Professor Lilith. We appreciate it.
I tried to do the cat noises. Nice. Missed the sand cat.
Excellent. So yeah, Concrete Genie. It's yet another game with a tacked on VR experience.
It is enjoyable though.
I'm very curious about the 2D game. I haven't had time to look into it, but man, it looks really. I mean, at least from an artistic standpoint, stunning.
It is.
Yeah, I'm curious to know about the story and how it evolves and stuff, because obviously we know the premise, but I'd like to know where it goes.
Right. We don't know how it evolves, but yeah, it starts out. The story is kind of nice. It just starts out real quick with him being bullied, and they take his drawing book and like mess with him. They put him on a boat, shove him out, and he ends up on some island, and then starts from there. So really supposed to be a really good narrative around bullying, which is a problem these days. Something we never like to see. So definitely, if I ever get the chance, I don't think I will, but I would love to. And if you complete the main story, it does unlock the rest of the painting stuff in the VR mode. That's the other thing I was kind of like I don't want to have to play that whole thing.
Did you lose AJ?
I lost AJ completely.
Yeah.
No, your audio is completely out.
Say something. Oh, no.
You're gone completely.
Did you accidentally mute yourself or something? Okay, well, no. I think we're probably good to move on to Minotaur Arcade at this point.
While AJ gets his issues sorted out there, let's talk about Minotaur Arcade. What do you got?
Yeah, and so this one was interesting for me because I love Polybius, and this is the same guy, Jeff Minter, also the same guy who made like Tempest 2000 and all these classic arcade games. And he's got a very specific style. We can hear you now. Okay. And when I first installed it, first of all, it's only available in the UK store, I think, right now. That's where I got mine from. It's not in the US store yet. Oh, Australia too. Okay. So it's 2 games. One called Goat Up, where you're a goat and you're jumping up these platforms. And then another one called Grid Runner. I think of the 2, Grid Runner is the one I like better. But my first impression of this game was, this is too expensive. I don't like it that much. It's not as good as Polybius. Why is it in VR? Then I kept playing.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to like stage 3, stage 4, stage 6, whatever, I was totally on board with it. It's got that same kind of overstimulating, colorful, like retro graphic style to it. It misses that immediacy of barreling down a track. Because, you know, like Thumper and Polybius, there's something to that, just like constant forward motion that makes you feel a certain way in VR. And these games don't have that at all. It's more like a standard arcade game. But Grid Runner gets really cool, and they start like curving the stages and doing all this weird stuff with it. And I ended up liking it a lot. So, AJ, what'd you think?
What'd you think, AJ?
So I've told you guys several times before that I liked Polybius, but I can play it for about 5 minutes and then I get bored with it. This is exactly what I wanted. And I think I'm going to be the minority here.
Yeah, for sure. But Polybius is still better than this to most people, I think. But
right. I see. For me, it's the opposite, because this slows down everything a little bit, and it lets you actually. To me, it has a little bit like more like I like the gameplay a little bit more, and I don't know if it's maybe just because it's more relatable to what I grew up playing. But you know, like you said, as you go with Grid Runner, you start out and you're like, oh, is this it? And then it changes colors, and then it changes enemies. By like, I think I got to like level 10 or 11 or something like that. And by that time, there's like giant strawberry monsters like floating around, and everything's going crazy. There's like 100 drops, 100 like power-ups that are dropping, and you're shooting in every direction with these huge like blasts and everything. I love bullet hell shooters. So to me,
it's a pretty good shmup for sure.
Right. And to me, that's I think it's just the kind of games that are in this. Same with Goat Up. Goat Up, I love platformers, and you know this. You run along, you trim the grass, and then your like little extra things are popping out of the grass while you're running. And then it does a similar thing where the more you go, the levels change, like the color and the textures, everything changes. And then the enemies change, and then you start getting these like you like. Kiss other goats or something, and it like makes baby goats, and then like, you know, those are kind of like, I don't know, your lives or like attacks or something, and it just visually it starts to expand, and the further you get in these, it like builds up to it, where Polybius kind of just throws you into it right away. These have like a build up to it, and it really, to me, it's just a little bit like more like subtle build, and I liked it for that. Bryan?
Yeah, you know, I think Polybius did a very interesting thing. You know, it really made you feel like, you know, your eyes were taped open and you were experiencing some Clockwork Orange kind of shit, where it's just
it's like this psychedelic kind of experience.
Yeah, like total visual stimulus overload, right? And I think there's a part of me that like when I'm playing that game, I almost like sit back and I'm just like take it all in and just like get into a zone. These are fine. These are totally fine. I think what they do really well. But they are way more of a classic type of arcade game.
Straight up arcade game, yeah.
Right? And it's cool that it has a VR thing, but I don't see myself going back to these nearly as much as I went back to Polybius. Like, I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours in Polybius. I played both of these for about a half an hour each, and I'll probably play them for another hour each at best, and I'm like, that was fun. You know, it was cool. Yeah, nothing wrong with them, but just, you know, as far as Polybius goes, you know, that just blows it out of the water.
I think it's unusual. I think most people won't buy these and feel like they're feel like they're better than Polybius. I think Polybius is more of like a statement in VR, like this is like a unique VR kind of experience, whereas this looks cool, and I'm glad it's got those particle effects and like the curved stages on Grid Runner and stuff, but it doesn't feel as much like it needs to be in VR.
Right.
So
yeah, Polybius on a flat screen, like no interest at all. Like it is made for VR. This is like
improved by VR, but not needed. I feel like there is such a lot of depth though to the particle effects. Like stuff is blasting at your face all the time in 3D space, and it's very colorful and very vibrant.
How difficult did you think it was?
There is that. I think it gets pretty difficult. Grid Runner, at least.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's a little bit difficult just to figure out at first, but then as you go on with Grid Runner, like, first of all, when you get the mechanics down, it's not too bad. It's just like any classic arcade game.
Well,
as you get more,
I don't know, man.
Get harder, but you also get more power-ups. The only thing that makes it harder is it starts to get harder to see everything because there starts to be so much going on. But it's just still not like, I don't know. It's still not as like, oh my God, as Polybius to me. Like visually, it's not going to blow you away like that. But I appreciated the gameplay of this a lot more than Polybius. And I know I'm the minority, but
when you say it's like a classic arcade game, I want people to be clear here. It's not like Galaga or Space Invaders or Asteroids. There's actually a lot of mechanics in Grid Runner, and once you start to get the hang of it, there's way more going on than you think there is.
It's sort of a mashup of different classic arcade games because there's like definitely elements of Centipede and Galaga, but it's like 4 or 5 different games sort of mashed into one.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting, actually, like combination of that stuff. And I like the game a lot, more than I would say like a classic retro arcade game that you'd go into pay a quarter to play. Because, like, I don't know, I've been to barcades where they're like, oh, we've got Galaga, we got Space Invaders, we got Pac-Man. Pac-Man's still good, but Galaga and Space Invaders are just boring as shit to me at this point. I don't even like playing those games.
GoDup actually has a little bit of a Pac-Man like integration into it.
When you
get
turn
like
into the...
Yeah, it's also got a mushroom where you turn bigger, and then like everything starts going like wow, wow, wow. Like it gets there. It really does, and it gets pretty crazy, but... there is like a power up you get where you turn on the enemies. You can hit them from behind and stuff, but then you get the power up and you just eat them all, and you're just like just jumping and stuff.
Yeah, I actually like. I think I like GoDup's gameplay loop a little bit better. I did,
Really?
I found myself, really.
It was immediately not that exciting to me. It eventually got exciting.
Yeah.
But Grid Runner was like way more immediate.
I found myself like really trying to eat as much of the grass as possible, clear as many levels because the stage actually gets pretty fast, pretty quick. Because at first you're like, I'm just going to eat all the grass, no problem. I can just like slide across each of these platforms, and then within a minute you're like, oh, as it turns out, I don't have nearly enough time to eat all the grass that I thought, and so you're just like jumping from platform to platform. What I like about it is that your goat jumps so high that unlike any other game I've ever played, I look at platforms and go, how the hell am I supposed to get there? And I go, oh, I just jump to it because like your goat jumps so high they can cross like almost the entire stage. So it's less about platforming, like, or your ability to get from one place to another.
Well, they spread it out. They do spread it out where you can't just make any jump.
Yeah, but it's about managing the jump. It's like you get this like gigantic leap that you like. There's all these platforms around you, and it's it's just it reminded me, like, it's just gonna sound dumb. It reminded me of Catherine, right? Because, like, you know, you're slowly, like, going up this wall and you get too close to the bottom and it's over. You know, obviously there are definitely classic games that did it way before Catherine, but that was the first thing that came to mind.
Interesting.
All right. I think it's maybe a little steep price wise. Like in US bucks, it was almost 20, and I think 10 or 15 is a much better price.
You know,
point
price on it? Yeah, I thought it was going to be like maybe 15.
Well,
I bought it.
Store,
if it's
on the Steam store for PC, it's $12.99, and which would be like right around the right price point if it was the same price on the PlayStation store. That would seem right. But
in the UK store, it's £15, which is, like I said, like almost $18. And that's a little steep, but I do like the games here.
To me, I disagree though, because Polybius was $15, and
Polybius is a better game.
Yeah,
that's it.
It all comes down to taste.
I know you don't like it as much, but
it is definitely a tasting. But if it's $15, like if it's $20, okay, maybe. If it's 15, I'm like, look, that's fair to me because that's what Polybius was, and that's what I paid for that, and I like this more. So. It does kind of come down to taste. I think
different strokes.
The cool thing is that if the people that didn't like Polybius, if they're out there somewhere, then you may want to give this one a shot if you still like retro games. All right, Polish Paul, VR, your PSVR dude, have a great night, my friend.
Get out of here. Wish you'd left hours ago, Paul.
We love you, Paul. Have a good night, bud.
Yeah, but you know, we're gonna. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what everybody thinks. But yeah, you guys, I think I'll be in the minority thinking that this is better than Polybius. And I'm totally fine with that. I don't really care. I like it more.
Did either of you guys have a chance to play Wands, which also didn't make it to the US store, but seems to be everywhere else?
No, I did not.
David?
I did not get a chance to play Wands.
Oh, well, in that case, do you have anything to add before you leave? Because I don't want to talk about something.
I got 3 minutes left. That's right.
What do you want to say, man?
What do I want to say?
I think you should say the winners of the giveaway.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to look them up, or do you guys already know who they are?
I did not do I did not pull a winner. So let's do the Intruders Hide and Seek physical version giveaway. Man, I gotta say,
it's a physical version.
It is.
Are we doing this from PSVR this week?
We are.
Okay, cool. I'll pull it up.
Now I gotta say something about this. We've been having some crazy issues with physical game giveaways. This might be the last physical giveaway we do because our Astrobot took way too long to get to the winner. When we gave away the Wizards like a month or two ago or something, it got all the way to Spain, and then Customs tried to charge the dude like $30 to have it delivered. I was like,
no.
I was like,
that's
dude,
terrible.
Like I already paid $15 to get it there, right? And he was like, well, the game's not even worth $30. So he declined it, and it got sent back to me. I have it back in my hands as of today, and so like we're having some major issues as far as shipping things go, and we're all
internationally,
even locally, man. Astrobot wasn't that far, and so and just finding time to make sure we get to the post office stuff is tough. So I still want to do weekly giveaways, but I think from now on it's definitely going to be digital stuff only, just to make life easy for everybody involved. We apologize to anyone who had an issue with any of our giveaways, but do we have a giveaway for the final? Intruders Hide and Seek physical copy.
Intruders Hide and Seek.
Yes.
This is a man named DLG27 who says, I've always wanted to try out Hide and Seek. PSN name DL Gilbert.
Can you copy that and paste it into the Discord?
DL Gilbert. I will.
Congratulations, DL Gilbert.
If you're watching,
congratulations, DL.
Congrats. If you're not watching this later,
what up,
it's all for you,
Nerf? What up, Drew? Kill Trip.
I hope you live in the U.S. because otherwise it might be hard to get this to you. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. It's almost 7 here. I got to do some work stuff, as always, every 3 weeks. But
every 3 weeks.
Thanks for having me, and I'll try and tune in the meantime while I'm working.
All right, Dave. If you happen
in the chat or whatever.
If you happen to finish up early, feel free to come back whenever, man. We'll be.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hopefully that'll happen.
All right.
So maybe I'll see you again. Have a good night, guys.
Later, Dave.
Later.
All right. Oh, it's a big picture of AJ. I kind of like it. Let's just leave it.
No, please don't.
Okay, fine. It's better than a big picture of me. That's for sure. All right.
I disagree.
Now we got to get rid of Dave's name here. Actually, let's just get rid of all the names. At this point, if people don't know who we are, then well, more power to them. There go the names. All right. So you know what? Let me. I know you didn't play Wands, but I don't think I have a whole lot to say about it. So let me do my little Wands rant. Bring up the trailer here.
I got a couple messages on it earlier. A couple people were excited about it.
About Wands.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so
Nerfenstein, aka Gully Gamer, also said that she played it and it was fun and multiplayer and very pretty.
It is very pretty. It's a good-looking game. My problem with it is that, I mean, it's a game like Telefrag, right? 1v1 in these environments that, you know, some are okay, some are boring, some are more interesting than others. They're good-looking environments, but man, it's all teleportation, and it's teleport from node to node. It's not even like, oh, tap here, tap here, tap here, tap there. And I understand that the locations are like strategic locations that you can teleport to. Some of them have stage things like the big, you know, stone boulders or something that like every so often roll over a certain area. I know I just like doing it. Did you see the GIF of me and Jeremy doing this? I started doing hand motions, man. I just keep doing it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
broken brain cells somewhere. And so I get like what they're doing, and I don't even think there's a PlayStation VR trailer. That's why I'm using the Oculus one. I just didn't find it that interesting for very long. I played a few rounds, and it's cool that you can upgrade your wand and you can buy and kind of craft different spells, and that seems to be the interesting part of it. I just couldn't really get into the combat, and maybe I need to spend more time playing it. But for the hour I spent, I was just like, I don't know. I don't see how this hasn't been done better in so many other ways on PlayStation VR. It's cool holding a wand.
I don't think it's your cup of tea, personally.
No, obviously.
You know,
I didn't enjoy it.
You know, it's one of those like, it does look, from what I can see here, I mean, it's got some cool looking stuff, but it looks like it's very based off of like PvP, and you grind and you build and you get better and better at it and stuff like that. And, you know, not really my cup of tea either, like, you know, Telefrag, but it's like fun for a little bit and then it kind of wears off.
1v1 in teleportation. I just don't. It's immediate. It's immediately a turnoff, and then so you get your wand in your right hand.
Especially.
You get your wand in your right hand, and all the face buttons are mapped to different spells. And I was like, okay, that's cool, right? But then your click turning is in your left hand. So now I'm all thrown off, right? And so it takes a second to get used to it. The tutorial that goes on at the beginning, like you just want to smack the dude who's talking. You're like, dude, just let me play. Just let me play. You don't have to explain every little thing. Just let me try it, and then when I need help, I'll ask you. But I don't know. It just seems very, very thin. Like it's very shallow. There's not a lot to it. I played against some AI. I played against a real person, and I was like, okay. I will spend a lot more time with it because I've heard a lot of good things about this game, and so I'm very curious to see, you know, how much I can level up each spell, or if you can level up spells, or if, you know, you're just crafting different spells. I'm going to spend more time with it and see how all those mechanics work, and maybe it'll grab me. But man, it didn't make the best first impression. I just wanted something a little more, I don't know, a little more fun, I guess. It didn't.
Sometimes playing these with friends too can be pretty fun, especially like challenge each other, getting better.
Yeah.
I like a progression system. I like, if it, you know, that's what's going to make or break it for me, is like, what do you get for progressing? Is it just get the gameplay down tighter and tighter, or is there actually like stuff to unlock? Even cosmetics have like, they're not as good as like a skill tree or something like that, but they still give me some incentive sometimes.
The progression, if that's what you're looking for, then this probably has something that you're looking for, because it does look like it rewards you for the more you play, the more progression, the more everything, more spells and everything. There's a lot going on. There's like a lot of workbenches and stuff to work with, or a lot happening at that specific workbench. And then,
it needs smooth loco for me, just like Void said in the chat. JB Great Tantrum says, what's better, the Wizards, Wands, or Mage's Tail? I don't think you've played enough of Wands yet to really know that, do you?
I mean, they're such different games, all of them. You know, this is a 1v1 PvP game. You know, Mage's Tale is a really boring puzzle game. The Wizards Enhanced Edition is a wave shooter. I mean, these are. Oh, and then of course we have what was the other one? What was the most recent experience one? Waltz of the Wizard.
Waltz of the Wizard.
And so somebody in the comments told me, like, one of my biggest complaints about Waltz of the Wizard was that you can't stack spells. And so there's this ring in a dungeon that I have no idea how to get. And apparently if you get that ring, you can stack spells. And I was like, oh. So I may have to go back into Waltz of the Wizard and reevaluate my opinion on that because, people are saying, oh, you can spend hours in this game. And I was like, well, maybe I need to spend... I got all the trophies. I thought I found everything, but apparently that ring opens up some new possibilities. So I'll get back to that too. A lot of magic wanding in my future. What that is.
So I got to check out the new DLC that was long awaited from Squanch Games, and that's going to be the Trover Saves the Universe, Important Cosmic Jobs, and man, right off the bat. So I got to say, get the negatives out of the way real quick. The negatives are a couple things. Is that there's no like hack and slash gameplay in this. They completely stripped that out. This isn't like going to different planets and stuff. You're at this one place. That being said, there's a lot to like about it because first of all, the comedy. I actually thought the comedy and the writing in this was actually more funny than the entire, minus a few parts, the entire game of the single player of Trover Saves the Universe. It has, as a Justin Roiland fan, as a Rick and Morty fan, it just had this little bit more like creativity and like instead of just saying random shit all the time. I mean, they still do that, but those who watch Rick and Morty out there, which should be a lot, there's like these episodes called Interdimensional Cable, where he basically makes TV commercials and they're all improv, and they take his improv of him just saying stuff and selling products or doing movie trailers and stuff like that, and then they draw it. And so you go around, one of the things you do in this is you go around finding these different objects, and then B, you unlock these tapes that you can get. And there's also actually the what do you call it? I keep wanting to call them squishies. Damn it, Will. The Power Babies. The Power Babies. They remind me of squishies for some reason. Will is infecting us all. But you get the Power Babies, and they're like rare Power Babies and stuff. And each one of these gives you another tape. And these tapes that they have on these things, I thought were hilarious. I mean, people that love Interdimensional Cable from Rick and Morty will absolutely get these and love them too. And just the humor overall, it's still raunchy, it's still everything, but I felt like it was a little bit less random. Like, even though it is random as hell, I felt like it was a little bit less random. And I really enjoyed this DLC. There's maybe not a whole lot, maybe like 2 hours of content, but that's still pretty good. The maze, there's a part where you go in the back and there's a maze that they made, and the maze is actually really well designed. And there's a part where like you can't see him, Trover, and like, but you can see his outline, and he's just like, oh, and he's like making all these noises, and he's like, oh, this feels so good, and he's like, I wish you could see me right now, or you need to come look at this, and so it like teases you and stuff. There's also this like Space Slammer game where it's like a mixture of like, that like basketball arcade game where you throw the basketball. It's like a mixture of that and then like Pogs or something where like you take the ball, you have to slam the planet, and then you dunk it or whatever, and it's like a timer, and you have to do it as many as you can and like get the highest score possible. And by the time I thought that like I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a tape when I finish this. And there was actually, I'm not going to spoil that actually. There's a surprise twist to beating that and getting all of it. So thought it was pretty funny, but really, really impressed with this DLC. Loved it. The whole place looks great. All the character interactions are great. Lots of little secrets that are pretty tough. Like the majority of it's easy, and then there's like some really tough stuff in there. So it'll add to the gameplay of it, game time of it.
I really like what Squanch Games is doing as far as their DLC plans are concerned. I know that not all developers are quite as transparent as they are when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I love that they said, instead of dropping the price of the core game, we're just going to keep bringing you DLC as long as it makes sense to do so, and all that DLC is going to be free. So rather than dropping the price on the $20 and then charging you $5 or $10 for DLC, they're just like, we're just going to keep it $30. $30? Is that what it is? I think so.
The game is $29.99, yes. And Just Incredible VR asked, do I need to play the main game or start the DLC or enjoy the DLC? It's just it's on the side, so you don't have to play the main game to do it.
Yeah, it's I thought I mean I didn't play it at all. I just want to be clear about that. I watched you play the whole thing, and it looked great. It looked awesome. It's sad that it doesn't have any of that hack and slash gameplay like you said.
Yeah.
But man, for what it does is very interesting. And maybe the next one will be more combat focused. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, the combat wasn't as deep anyways. It's not like Devil May Cry or something, but it was nice, especially towards the end where it got pretty challenging. They threw lots of enemies at you. There were some that had like shields and stuff. Certain things you had to do first before you could kill them. So, or like patterns of time. But yeah, minus the, that's my one big knock on it is the hack and slash is gone. But other than that, I mean, I was laughing so hard and trying not to laugh on stream because I'm like, crap, like these people are trying to enjoy watching this too. And I'm like, I'm going to ruin it because I'm just laughing so much. And really, really good. I thought the writing was much better this time.
Nice. Yeah, just watching that. Was it Cop People?
Cop People. That's what Kev Gret said. Cop People is the funniest thing in the game.
Cop People is hilarious.
Cop People game. It was good. Had a nice twist.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, as if it wasn't already a great game, we definitely put it on our top 20 list. I think this would bump it up a notch or two on the top 20 list, give it a little more content.
Good.
I think if you like platformers at all, or I mean, and honestly, I was gonna say or anything funny, but just the last Justin Roiland thing we got was Accounting Plus, and that was funny for me, but like
I thought it was funny too.
Not nearly to the level of that this was. This
has the game with it as well.
Yeah, this had me going for so long. The longer I played, the more I laughed, and it just never got old to me. Whereas like Accounting Plus, I don't know. I think that was a game you had to be in the right mood for. But this is just hilarious in my book. So.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So I think we need to talk about that amazing PlayStation VR 3-year anniversary sale that's going on in multiple territories right now. And I think the biggest thing that we need to discuss is that it's kind of really different between the European territory and the North American territory.
We do also have two, or at least one big other trailer thing to cover as well.
You want to do that first?
You want to do that first? Yeah.
Oh, let's do that first.
Hold on to your butts, guys. We got a trailer that dropped from Fox Next, and this was a game that we first saw during E3, the upload presentation, and it's actually Predator VR. Oh my god. And, there's a couple significant things about this before you get too excited. First of all, we do apologize. The trailer's in 480p. That's the only trailer they had.
Everybody's watching on their phones. They can't tell the difference.
The funny thing is when I first saw this trailer, I'm like, okay, that's Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son. And if you didn't know, if you couldn't connect the two dots, he was in Starship Troopers and a couple other movies, lots of other movies actually. But I was like, this doesn't seem real to me. Like something, the quality and just it seems a little bit like janky and stuff because the graphics. But that later we found out is because of the quality. But then Scotty Steff, who on Twitter says, "Oh hey, this was the last thing I worked on at Fox Next. I wasn't sure if it was ever coming out, but here's the trailer." And he says it's got really interesting asymmetrical multiplayer mode that I don't think exists anywhere else in VR. Give it a look when it's viable. So seeing that, he's the former director of games at Fox Next VR. So apparently Disney and Fox Next are having some issues. They don't actually know whether or not Fox Next is going to still continue to be a part of them. It's kind of up in the air right now. So there's people, as this trailer came out, there's people going like, oh my God, like that's the game I've been working on. I didn't know it was going to come out or not. So there's a lot of stuff still up in the air, unfortunately. Basically what sparked all this was it dropped on Steam. And the reason we know it's on PlayStation VR for two reasons. Number one, it's being developed by Phosphor Game Studios, I think. And they made the Brookhaven Experiment, which we love, and they made Crisis, the Planet of the Apes. It's all right.
Oh, I didn't know they made that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they made both of those. So this is, and the reason we know that it was originally planned for PSVR is because the trophy list dropped early, back in like the summer or something like that.
Yeah, I seem to
and then
remember
we got that trailer. So it's kind of a mess over there. I really, really hope Disney, no matter whatever you do before you shut this studio down or whatever, keep them employed would be our preference because we want to see them Fox next make more VR games. But please release this game. I grew up with Predator, and I think a lot of people did. And to have the Predator in VR with like a multiplayer mode and stuff, that's the one thing that concerns me is if it's multiplayer based, they need servers, something like that. That's my biggest concern. But I really, really do hope to see this game. It looks pretty cool.
I'm getting a team called Imaginati for Crisis of the Planet of the Apes developer.
Maybe they published it. Maybe they published.
Fox Next published it. I don't have anything about Phosphor here for them.
Oh, so it was probably published by Crisis of the Planet of the Apes or whatever. They published that, and then Phosphor Games developed it. I don't know. I know that this is developed by. I believe this is developed
interesting.
By
It could have just been portions of the team from Imaginati and portions, and then who knows what the crossover is there. Just trying to keep our ducks in a row here for anyone who's watching, being like, that's not right. They're probably members of the team from Imaginati that joined Phosphor or something along those lines.
It's interesting, though. I mean, there's supposed to be a single-player mode, a multiplayer mode, so I hope we at least get, like, the single-player mode. I would definitely love to see the multiplayer, a bunch of guys hunting a predator while he hunts them back and stuff. And this is, like, one of my favorite movies of all time. This is, like, one of the best action movies of all time. And I just would really, really love to see it. Cats, let us know in the chat, would you like to see Predator VR come to PSVR? I know you do.
Yeah, I'm so on board with this. You're right. The trailer does look kind of weird and like a little
janky.
Like it's like almost like if someone was like saying, making a fake Predator VR trailer. This is kind of what it would look like.
Right.
But it looks, but knowing that it's real, it looks really cool. So yeah, I'm excited.
Right.
I'm definitely excited to check this out for sure.
And it has Jake Busey in it, which I thought was really strange. I was like, wow, they got Jake Busey to do this. That's pretty cool. But that was, I thought they took like his voice from like other movies and stuff and like spliced it into this trailer.
I mean,
like that was my initial thought.
it wouldn't surprise me, not even remotely.
I don't think he's been in any other Predator movie. I know Gary Busey was in Predator 2. So I don't know. But man, everybody wants to see Predator come. Come on, people. Come on, Disney. Let Fox Next do their thing.
Come on, Disney. You can do it.
If it leaves, we can kill it.
So I want to take away this sale here real quick.
Yes.
And say that I really, really, really need to get rid of this Predator trailer and make this work properly. And one of the things we talked about very recently on this channel was Pinball FX2 VR.
Yes.
Right, and so that was, can we get that? There we go. It's too expensive, right? You have to spend like $60 to get all the tables that are available, right? It's not too expensive when you take it kind of piece by piece, but I think anyone who buys it immediately wants all the tables, immediately wants all of them at their disposal. And for this to be as cheap as it is, let me see if I can't bring up the actual price.
It's actually on sale in both the US and EU. We're trying to include as many. The US and EU have different sales. We're trying to include them both as much as possible. In the US, it's $7.49.
It's half price right down the line for all 3 packs. So instead of spending $60 or over $60, it'll be $30, which is insane. That's exactly, I think that's the perfect price point for this. So for anyone who saw that episode of Why We Love with me and Des, and you were like, oh, this looks good, but I'm going to wait for a sale. Here's your sale. Don't wait any longer. Do you want to bounce back and forth and alternate on these? How do you want to do it?
I don't care. But I can say that Pinball FX2 VR, I agree with. That is an awesome, awesome game when it's on sale. I wouldn't want to pay full price for it, but man, is it good. And I do love pinball machines growing up. I love the Terminator 2. I love the South Park. There was a couple other ones. Addams Family. I'm sure you know that one. Popeye. There were some really good pinball machines. And this, with the Universal pack, I love the Back to the Future table. Oh, my God. The Back to the Future table is so good. But the Western one that's like part of the DLC pack and stuff, those are pretty good too. So Don't sleep on those either.
Yeah, I think the Jaws one, even though I think Back to the Future is my favorite of the group, the Jaws
one you son of a bitch.
The Jaws one is great because because it puts you sort of on this, you and the table on this kind of raft that's floating in the water. So even though you're in the room, you look down and like you're standing on this raft and you're just like, oh man, I got to focus on this table because it really puts you in a different place. Even though you're standing in this room playing a pinball table, it makes really good use of VR.
Right. It also helps that you look over and a shark is like right there, like lunging at you and stuff. That's what they do so well. Is like you said, it's not just the table that's moving; it's all the stuff going around as well.
Yeah, I'm like Zen seemed to be pumping out game after game after game for a while for PSVR, and then stopped. I think they had a lot of things in the works. It might not have panned out financially for them. Maybe they'll come back next gen. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. As much as I didn't really care for the Jurassic World movies, I really wanted that pinball table really bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been great. All right. What do you got for a good sale item, AJ?
So, we already know all the big hitters like Skyrim, Borderlands 2, Astrobot is on sale there. These are all games that you really, if it's on our top 20 list, then you really should probably go grab it while it's on sale. That should be a no-brainer. So we're going to try to cover like the little lesser-known stuff. One that comes to mind for me is definitely Res Infinite. I know this is like not an everybody game, but this is Enhance's first VR game, I think, that they made. Res Infinite, yeah.
I mean, it was a launch title for PSVR, so that would make sense.
And yeah, in the US it is $11.99, and in the EU it is $9.99. So
amazing.
Really good game. What makes this game so special, there's only like 5 areas, but what makes it so special at the very end is Area X, and that's like a built for VR mode. That's really cool. But excellent rhythm game, great music, really smooth gameplay, and pretty awesome. Pretty underrated in my opinion, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Res since Dreamcast, I think in 1999. It's a game that I feel like was always built for VR, and they just had to kind of wait for the technology to catch up with their vision. When the second you get into this, it's a feeling that you don't get from any other VR game. It's hard to convey until you actually get in there. And it's one of the few games that I say don't bother with the move control. Something doesn't feel right about those. They feel sluggish. They don't feel like they have a full range of movement. But man, using the head tracking and the DualShock 4, definitely.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, enhanced games are known for combining music and emotions and stuff like that. So honestly, what I love about this game is it reminded me of that sequence from Johnny Mnemonic where he like he's like, I've got a 3 terabyte hard drive in my brain. Or it was like gigabyte, and it was like the 90s or something.
Right, that seemed like a huge amount of space then.
Yeah. Well, it kind of was. I mean, 256 megabytes was huge at the time. That was like a floppy disk. So
did you notice how small Minotaur Arcade is?
Yeah,
it's like
I didn't even get a chance to see how big it was.
It's like under 100 meg.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really small.
It makes sense though. It makes sense, but yeah, this is a great rhythm game. If you like rhythm games, music, stuff like that, get it while it's cheap. Let me see if he got anything else that was matched up with what I got. So, I don't know if Dave picked different things in the EU. So you may want to pull up the EU store. If I don't know, can you even do that?
Yeah, I've got them both up. So
okay. So PSVR Worlds is also on sale. That's a great game for starters. One that doesn't go on sale very often at this price, and this is kind of a different one. If you have an aim controller, Evasion, and we had that on our top 5 aim controller games. Evasion is a kind of a sneaky pick, and because it's only $7.99 right now.
Hey, it's finally at the right price point.
I think it's worth a little bit more than that, but it's for $7.99 you get a couple hours at least, and you get some really good graphics. And yeah, you also get a multiplayer game with like different classes and stuff. So yeah. I think $7.99 is actually kind of a steal.
Absolutely. It's playing through this with a friend is fun for a couple hours. It's a wave shooter in disguise. But man, it's fun for what it is, and there are different classes or whatever. the thing is when it launched at $40, it was really easy to hate on this thing because it just didn't offer a $40 value, like not even close, like not even by half. And so like, you know, I told people when this thing goes on sale for like under $20, definitely pick it up. It's that kind of game. And for under 10, yeah, this is definitely worth it at that price. So I don't understand all the praise it got at $40, but for this sale price, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So also, is that on sale in the EU as well, or just the US?
I got my windows open here.
Let me pull up.
I got it right here. It looks like Evasion is not on sale outside the US. That's unfortunate.
Okay. So, yep, that's just in the US. But if you have a thing, I actually preferred that game single player, to be honest with you. The reason being is when you do 2 players, the enemies become a little bit more spongy. So if you play it solo, they have like half the health. So it's actually more like it feels like a little bit more arcade like. Yeah. But good stuff.
And just a heads up real quick to anybody that is upset because, you know, a certain game didn't go on sale in a certain region. I see it all the time on Reddit. They're like, oh, EU gets fucked again. You know, it's like, well, why don't you have a North American account yet? It takes minutes to set up a North American account and or European account. I have accounts in all territories, so you can set up an account in any territory that you want, and you just have to, like, you know, come up with a different email address and, you know, a fake physical address, and then you can buy all of your gift cards on sites like PlayAsia, right? Because you can't use PayPal or credit cards, you know, from outside the country, but you can totally buy those things on PlayAsia, and within minutes have currency in those accounts. It's really, really easy, and we don't want anyone getting left out of any sale. So just keep that in mind. Don't be upset that a game you want isn't on sale in your territory, because you do have access to it, and it's not nearly as hard to get as you think it is. Keep it in mind.
Another one that's on sale is by Ubisoft, and it's Eagle Flight. And I think a lot of people have this game by now. They should if you don't. And it's kind of a divided game, but most, I think, people do like it. But essentially, it's only $5.99 right now, and that's ridiculous. This game, when it launched, it was $40. I wouldn't say it's worth $40. I think I paid $15 for it at the time when it went on sale or something. And you control with your head and like steer through like rings. And what I love about this game is it's a lot like, I don't care about the multiplayer. I don't think anyone should. But what I loved about it is the single player. And you're in a post-apocalyptic like France that's like just destroyed, and it's beautiful. There's zebras and giraffes and stuff just flying around, and you can like run into them and stuff. But it's like being on a Planet Earth episode that's like fictional to me, because it's got the narrator and stuff. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm actually bringing up the trailer for that. I don't know why I don't have it already. That's craziness. This is one of the few games on PSVR that just not only lets you fly, which I feel like should be an option in every single game ever made. Let's just bring up the trailer real quick.
Fun fact, I bought Eagle Flight because of your Why We Love episode with Dez. And I was like, it doesn't look like my cup of tea. I ended up loving this.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do in this game isn't take down the missions. There is combat later on in the game, and there is some other stuff. But my favorite thing to do in this game is to just explore the city, big open world, and find collectibles. There are collectibles everywhere. There's feathers, whatever, and it's just fun to just explore and to make these kind of like risky maneuvers, because there's like holes in some buildings and stuff you can fly through, definitely. And you don't want to be a flat eagle against the wall somewhere. So
actually, I really like the racing. I like the ring levels, like Pilot Wings or something, or Ultra Wings, where you have to fly through the rings and get them. It's got this beautiful soundtrack that's like very like Lion King kind of. But yeah, the underground tunnel levels. Yeah. Oh my god,
those are amazing. Right, because you see things like subway trains, and you're flying through caves and like these really, really tight areas, and like for something that uses head tracking, you're doing this a lot, moving your head all over the place. So it does require some really fast reflexes, and some of them seem impossible at first, but man, the more you play them, you're like, oh, I am getting better at this. And for what is it, $6 right now? It's amazing.
$5.99, correct. That's a steal.
Totally.
Oh, and one more note on this.
Okay.
If you have an original PS4, this was the first game that I had when I had my original PS4 that I was like, oh my God, this looks really good. Like, it looks like a pro game on the original PS4. So that's another reason. There are forced blinders, but just like you said in the Why We Love, this is the only game with forced blinders that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Only game.
Forced blinders, there's some like feathers and stuff around you as well. It's like
yeah, but that's just like supposed to look like the bird thing. That's not like the same, you know.
Right. Some stuff around your vision just to kind of give you the. It reminds me of like Rush VR, where you have like the mask on. You know, you can just kind of see that. It almost adds to the immersion. But there are blinders when you take a hard bank left or right. It does happen, and it's strange. Like, you don't even notice it after a while. It's one of the few games that I find it acceptable in. I agree.
Guyson loves going full speed in Eagle Flight. Me too, man. I also love how you get the levels where you shoot the thing, and so you can you get like the sonar shot or whatever. So you can go down, like swoop down, shoot like a giraffe, and it's like, and then you like fly away and stuff. It's funny. Yeah. All right, another one. Gabriel 004, the secret agent game cat. I'm going to start calling him. He says, I thought AJ was going to mention this one, and you're damn right I am. The Solus Project is $9.99. It made my number one for the top 5 PSVR games you might not have played. This is an absolute hidden gem on the console. It's a 15-hour game for $9.99. Really, pretty good graphics, full world to explore, survival where you're sitting there, and I mean, I really meant it. I was speaking from the heart in that video. I've never been like, oh, this game looks fun, where it's like, oh, you have to open this can and eat it. Like, you do have to like break cans with rocks and stuff, or like swords and stuff. And this is just a really good survival game. And it's one of my favorite sci-fi adventures of all time. I used to play like The Dig and like some like crazy LucasArts style like sci-fi adventures. This tops like all of those from the past, and was like my new like little niche secret gem.
Yeah, this is, and if you have a pro, man, like the pro patch for this looks super nice. This is a really good looking game. All the effects we've talked probably ad nauseum about the cyclone that pops up out in the water, and you look out and you go, oh, hey, look out, what a cool little effect. There's like this cyclone happening out there in the water, and it gets closer to you, and you're like, oh, wait, there it is right there on the screen. You're like, oh, I need to worry about this. This thing is actually coming out of the water and after me, and it chases you, inland. It's really cool. The move controllers do take, I think, a second to get used to on this one, but man, definitely.
It has a learning curve. That's a big turnoff for a lot of people. It's a little hard to get it first, but really, the best thing I can say about it, though, there's 3 things you need to know if you pick this up. Number 1, there's swords like laying around. If you ever see a sword, pick it up, put it into your inventory. You're gonna need it. Number 2, at some point you'll see this tower, and you're supposed to restore communications to the tower, and you'll see the parts for the tower glowing in a green like little sonar thing. That's number 2. Pick those up before you leave any area. Number 3, do not clip through walls. You can clip through walls in this game. If you get lost in this game and don't follow the story, this game will not be as fun. You'll lose interest. So follow the story, number 1.
It might break your game. Don't go through walls.
Get all the swords that you see, which are in like some caves and stuff. And then number 3, get all the green glowing emitting tower parts. And that's it. And man, beat the game. Have an amazing time.
And if you honestly, if the survival stuff gets to be too much and too frustrating, there's a difficulty meter, and you can just turn that sucker all the way down to 0, and just all the survival elements just go away. I recommend somewhere in the middle, so it's not crushing, because for people like me who have a low threshold for this kind of stuff, somewhere in the middle is nice, so that you still have to worry about it, but it's not insane.
And if you're like me, I just want to say you can turn it up to 200% and really know what it's like to survive on an alien planet.
It must be really harsh out there, man, because like the amount of shit you have to do to stay alive is insane.
Yeah.
That being said,
JB was there. Go ahead, sorry.
If you like spooky games, man, this game has some.
It's spooky.
It is, man. Like this, already you're like stranded on this alien planet,
eerie.
and then you start going into these caves, and the noises that you hear, the sound effects, the things that you see, like
terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It
but
scared
in the
me
weirdest,
more than a lot of horror games.
like in a weird subtle way, it's terrifying.
Right.
Like the implied things, the things that this game implies are almost scarier than the things that it shows.
Right.
And man, then when it shows things, it's so much cooler. It's like, oh, I didn't think it was going to show anything, and then it shows something, and you're like, yes, this game really came through. Yeah, big fan of Solus Project for sure.
Absolutely love it. One of my favorites ever.
And did I see Dave said he might be ready to come back? I hope so.
Possibly. Dave had an EU pick that he wanted us to give a shout out to. Dirt Rally is $7.39 for the game and the VR package. That's definitely a really good deal in the EU store. Dirt Rally is one of the most hardcore driving simulators I've ever played in my life. And it's also, the thing is though, another game with a big learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it is a lot of fun. Graphics aren't as good as Gran Turismo though. Just going to throw that out there. So I think that's one thing that kind of holds it back a little bit, of the graphics.
Really?
But
a little
bit.
I mean, I think on the Pro, this game is beautiful. Right, like I mean, there's so many little details, things like I don't know. I think it looks
maybe
really
on the ground. Maybe on the ground. I don't know. I felt like everything was kind of blurry, jaggy, and
wow,
muddy.
Interesting. Maybe I need to go back and give another look, because the last time I played this, I was kind of in awe about how good it looked. To be honest, here, let me switch over here. Is this actually Dirt Rally trailer? Is it? Oh, good. Thank goodness. Okay, good. I don't know what was happening there. Dirt Rally trailer. So, yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because I mean, as far as driving games go, Driveclub is my jam, right? And I know that's not a popular opinion, but I love having a full grid of racers. I like being.
Everybody has their one that they love.
Absolutely.
I like Gran Turismo. Tons of people love Driveclub. Tons of people love Dirt Rally.
I just love the there's like some good urban environments in Driveclub. So this is going to be another pick of mine. I'm just kind of shoehorning it into this conversation. Driveclub is super cheap. But Driveclub was delisted from the PlayStation Store, and now it seems to be back for $6. So if you didn't get Driveclub before, now you can buy it, and they probably relisted it knowing like without any of the online features listed in the PlayStation Store, and that's why it got delisted, because the online component was gone. There's still stellar game here.
Not to cut you off, but it seems like most people are agreeing with you on the way Dirt Rally looks. Like everybody is saying Dirt Rally looks better than Gran Turismo even. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that needs to go and read. But I thought it was pretty blurry. But
have you played it since upgrading to the Pro? Because this is one of those with a huge difference.
I want to say yes, but it has been a while, so it is one that I need to revisit. But I spent a lot of hours in it, and I didn't even care. I love the gameplay. Once you get past the learning curve, I was like, this game is amazing. I mean, the drifting is so much fun in that game.
How much is this going for right now? $10?
No, not even $7.39 in the EU. So and I think it's actually on the US store as well.
So when this game came out, I spent $60 to get the physical version, right? Because we as soon as they said there was going to be a VR patch coming out, so suddenly it got kind of hard to find the game, to be honest. So I did end up paying full price for it, $60 for the retail copy, and then on top of that, I think the patch was $10 additional. So I actually paid $70 for Dirt Rally to play it in VR, and I remember that, yeah. And I mean, I don't think I've ever paid $70 for just like a non-collector's edition version of any game ever. And so I knew that I was definitely ponying up some cash to be able to play this, and for people to be able to get it for less than $10 is insanity, like absolute insanity. So definitely pick this one up. And if you have a wheel too, man, like
unless you just really don't like challenging games. If you don't like challenging games, I would say don't. But other than that, yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's a good point, right? It's because unlike something like Driveclub, which any casual driver fan can play, this you got to have some patience. You've got to learn what your co-driver is saying, because you got to learn all those callouts to know, because there's no mini map or anything like that. But what your co-driver is saying, it's like. I mean,
that's really it, though. I mean, that's it, because he tells you how sharp the turn is going to be, how like fast it's coming up.
But man, it takes a while to get that through your skull.
It does, and especially to react to it on time. But
Yeah, and rally driving anyway, like, is already like a more sensitive thing than racing on, pavement.
Well, see, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think the drifting, the sliding, and everything was much better in this than Gran Turismo. But Gran Turismo is definitely my favorite of the three racers we got.
Gotcha. All right, we got another sale item to talk about.
What do you think about? I want to know your thoughts on Wolfenstein for $9.99.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on Wolfenstein.
For $9.99?
Yeah, well, I mean, what was it, $20 at launch?
Yeah.
So, Wolfenstein Cyberpilot is fine, but it's an experience, and I actually think the stuff that resonated with me more about this wasn't the parts where you're actually in the different mechs and going through the levels and killing bad guys. The stuff that resonated with me was the stuff in between, where where they're actually delivering the story and you're interacting with things and putting them together, and there's a blackout and you have to go replace all the fuses and stuff. It's okay. It just seems like it was sort of half-heartedly put together. And I mean, $10, you're going to be happy with it, but I wouldn't pay more than that for it, I don't think.
Well, I will be picking it up finally on this price, so I will be happy to give you feedback. We've got some more. I don't know if you have any more picks. We've still got a couple Dave EU picks to go through.
Yeah, let's get to Dave EU picks done.
These are Dave's EU picks. He's got Eve Valkyrie for $9.99. That's an interesting one because that's a pretty solid game. Although those that get motion sickness, I can't say I fully recommend it. On the Pro,
I would say there's a bunch of games we don't recommend if you get motion sickness.
Yes. I don't know how I phrase that, but I'm just going to agree with you. The problem I have with Eve Valkyrie is it's basically a multiplayer game. And the good news is it's great with the HOTAS. It feels awesome. It's fun with friends and stuff, but that player base is not very strong. And then they do have bots in there. So if you have a group of friends you can play Eve Valkyrie with, I do recommend it. If not, definitely don't get it for a single player experience. I hated the single player. It was like it just kept like falling short and never really did anything with it. So
yeah, I'm so if you ever notice on the channel, there's no review of Eve Valkyrie anywhere on the channel or Warzone.
Right.
It's something that I've dropped into numerous times, and although when you get out there in space, it looks stunning. And I love the feeling of flying out there and shooting enemy ships, but the gameplay loop just never, like, I didn't even know what I was really doing. Like, I was like, I'd go out on a mission, shoot some stuff, shoot some bad guys, it would end, I'd come back and go, all right, now what?
Right.
So I think it's great at what it does, and for $10 it's hard to go wrong. And this is an example of a AAA developer making a AAA game for PlayStation VR. But yeah, man, it's like you better have some friends to play with. That's for sure.
Those prices are pounds for the EU store. Laura TG Gamer says Dick Wilde 2 is 50% off. Is it worth it? First one is nice, but way too difficult. So if you liked the first one but thought it was too difficult, the second one does have difficulty options. I personally liked it on the Dick Wilde 2 on the tough difficulty with the aim. And that like makes you like dodge and stuff. So if you didn't like the difficulty, yeah, I mean, if that's it, definitely worth it. Next on Dave's picks, he's got one that made a list today, and that's Windlands for $6.49. And God, I wish this game went on sale in the U.S. more.
I also like Dick Wilde too for that price. Dude, I still got the trailer playing, so I'm still going to talk about it. You and I played co-op in this, and we played co-op in this before they fixed like all the crazy ass bugs.
Yeah, it was really rough,
but it was still fun. Like it was just fun to like.
Kind of, it was too easy.
It was too easy. I'm glad they adjusted that and gave us a slider. But no, I think that Bulwark did a great job at fixing the problems that this game had, and it now works way better. So if you saw any early reviews, if you saw any early first impressions, it's a much more refined game now.
Definitely.
Yeah, and especially for that price point, definitely. It
uses the aim and moves. multiplayer. All the music stuff is fixed. All the bugs, like they got rid of all the bugs and everything. So yeah, it's really smooth. I will also say that's a game that I had friends come over and I let them try one, and they played. I think it was like, yeah, I let them play a handful of games, and that was one of the ones that they were like, yeah, like I really like this one, and they wanted to keep playing it. So
Nice.
as a shooter, as a rail shooter kind of thing, arcade, people like it. So it's very polished. It's got really good graphics.
It does. It looks really smooth.
Colorful.
All right, back on topic. What was the game that we were about to talk about before I brought us back to Dick Wilde 2?
Oh, Windlands.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I actually just played this one for the first time recently to make that list because you told me that this should be one that you need to try out, and and I'm kind of divided on this game personally. There's things I like about it, and there's things I don't like about it. You want to go first on this one?
Well, I'm curious to know what you don't like about it.
What I don't like about it is that I feel like the gameplay, like the way the concept of the game is really fun, but I think when you try to really play it on like the difficult stages and stuff, I feel like the game is a little floaty and a little clunky. Like it's like you're exploring these worlds with a grappling hook. When you turn on hard, you can only grab the trees, the leaves or stuff, the green. Yeah. So I wanted to play it like that because that's usually the kind of game that I really like. Like it's a game that's like easy to learn, hard to master. This is not really. This is like just basic. Trying to do basic things would have me like running, slamming into walls, slamming into bushes, and like it's like no, I'm trying to go over there, and there's like a delay of like taking a couple steps to the left or right, stuff like that. So
when this game first came out, it was DualShock 4 only, right? So. So that's obviously how it was designed, and it works really well with DualShock 4. But unfortunately, when you do that, and then you suddenly go, hey, now you have move support. I feel like something maybe didn't quite work in the translation, and I could be wrong. But maybe it's definitely a floaty game. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. I totally agree with that. But also, it's a floaty platformer. My biggest complaint about this game aren't the controls at all. I feel like once I got used to them, I loved the feeling of maneuvering from platform to platform, swinging around. This is the Spider-Man game people have been wanting, right? This is the better version of that free experience. This is a more complete thing. This gives you a reason to explore, things to find, different worlds, better graphics, and so. What I don't like about it is things that have already been fixed in the sequel that hopefully is still coming to PlayStation VR. I feel like it's been a long time since we've heard from them. There's no enemies, there's no multiplayer, there's no. It feels like it's big. It's also kind of basic
looking. But what did help it though is that it is very crisp. I love even though it's very like the way it looks is okay. The big ancient robots or mechs or whatever look kind of cool. The voice acting is very silly. It's like it's all trying to be like dramatic, and it's like the Guardians rise from the thing, and it's probably like the developers that did it, but there's a lot that I like about it, and the game like can be really fun at times, for sure. But it's the kind of game that like it's the one that like as I get better at it, I want to be able to go faster and faster, and you kind of can to some degree. But I don't know. It was a little clunky. Also, motion sickness alert. This is one I'm not, I don't get motion sick, but I can tell, like I get like a feeling or like a sensation, and I'm like, whoa, this would make people really sick if some of them. So, but there's comfort options, so obviously you can do that.
There's a ton of comfort options, but I think this is one that I tried to get Des into, and and he tried all the comfort options, and it was just like, nope. It just didn't work. This is one of those games that it was a launch title for PSVR. I think it's $25 normally, and or in the US at least. And
they need to reduce the price, man.
Oh yeah,
and more people would give it a shot if it was cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, any game that's been out for 2+ years, at this point 3 years, it's time to get a price cut. But I think that maybe what they're doing is holding off until they finally get a announcement for Windlands 2 on PSVR. And then when they do that, they'll say, hey, by the way, Windlands 1 is $10. So everyone go get Windlands 1 now in anticipation for the sequel. I'm very much looking forward to the sequel. This is one of those games where day one, PlayStation VR, you download this, you just say, I'm going to get everything. I'm just going to buy all the launch titles because that's what I do during a launch of an exciting console. I remember the first time, like, you're in that little opening area before you even step outside, and it says push this button to jump, and you push it, and you go, wait a minute, let me.
Yeah, you feel it right away.
Let me breathe before I do that again, because it really, your stomach just goes with you. And like, again, I don't get motion sickness either, but yeah, I can tell, no question about it, this will make some people sick.
Real quick, Scandal the Game Cat has a question. It says, if I buy an EU game, will it show up on my main account page, or do I need to switch to the EU account? Yes. The important thing to note here is that you have that EU account set as the primary on that PlayStation 4, and then you can actually play it under your US account. So that's what I do.
Wait, I thought your US account was supposed to be your primary.
Well, I actually the account that you play under.
Yeah.
So I actually share it with my brother. So he's got my account as his primary. My account as his primary, and then since I'm playing under my name, I can play whatever I want. But if he wants to play games, my games that I bought, I have to have the primary over on his. Gotcha. That way he can play it on his account over there.
Yeah. And that awful noise was for Killicell Quadruple 7 with a $5 donation. Thank you very, very much for your tip. We loved you and we appreciate you.
Name that cat, by the way.
No. I'm not playing this game. This
Come on, please.
This is a horrible game.
Reth and I came up with this. Reth and I came up with this.
Oh,
this is the thing.
Then I'm gonna have to take Reth aside and reprimand that young man and tell him what's going on.
He's the brains of the operation.
No.
Lou the Game Cat says, I agree with AJ that the swinging started feeling clunkier once you got good at it. I started wanting to swing faster and be able to turn on a dime, but it really just wouldn't do. Did you ever play Grow Home? The free PSN game.
Yes.
It was. Yeah, it's like a first-person Grow Home with grappling hooks. It's by design that it's kind of clunky. So I wasn't getting frustrated, but it was like, man, I just wanted it to be like a little bit faster, like being able to do stuff. And you can, but you really have to avoid a lot of stuff for that to work.
Yeah. Ooh, Elvert's making good on his promises by saying, finally out of work, what have I missed? He's like, I promise I'm going to watch more of your videos, Brian. And then give me a heart. And he's like, thank you. Elvert. So following through with your promise, Elvert, you've missed everything. The show is over. Thank you for joining us.
We have one more. I mean, and that Zenith thing, that was like one small thing we brought up.
Oh, is that what that was for?
Yes, for Zenith. So
I like to give people a hard time. Hopefully, everyone knows that I'm full of shit. There's no way everyone can keep up with the amount of content we push out onto this channel. Like, you guys have real lives and other things to do and other channels that you like to watch. I mean, unless you give up on Netflix and other YouTube channels, then we totally understand.
Alex says, thoughts on Table of Tales? If it's still $99, absolutely get it. It's the only tabletop game in VR that I really enjoyed.
I mean, Table of Tales is a no-brainer at $20 in my book. So,
True.
Here, let me scroll down the UK price real quick and see. Table of Tales is £9, and let's see on the US store.
Still $9.99.
Oh, it's not on the list of US games. So
we love you too, Albert.
But yeah, no, I mean, for even for full price, Table of Tales is amazing. So if you ever see it on sale, buy it. I love that game, and I'm with you. Tabletop games aren't my thing. There's something that really resonated with me about that when it was over. The thing I want to do more than anything else was start playing a brand new game right away and see what I can do differently than the last time around. I had a lot of fun with that. The story at first seems like it's going nowhere. I didn't think it was really it didn't rope me in right away, and then within an hour I was so hooked, and by the end I was invested thoroughly.
Yeah.
I will also throw my hat in the ring for Table of Tales.
Dave's
because
back.
I love that game too. Yeah, here I am.
Hey, let's get our names back up here.
So Dave, you've got one more pick that you got to do for the EU that I would love to hear your thoughts on, and that's going to be Archangel. in the meantime, chat, if you guys have any questions on any other games that you see on sale and want us to talk about it, just throw it out there. We'll answer it and let you know what we think about the game that's on sale that you're interested in.
How much is Archangel?
Yeah, for sure. Archangel is £8, £7.99 pound wise.
That's a no-brainer.
It's so good. When it came out, it was like $40. It was very expensive.
It was, and they cut that price down to 30 like 2 weeks later or something. It obviously didn't sell at all.
But it's such a solid. I mean, it's a rail shooter, obviously, but there's this cool sense of scale where like a lot of the enemies you're shooting are tiny, and you're in this big ass mech. And surprisingly, it's got a really well done kind of narrative to it. You actually kind of feel for the main character a little bit because there's this initial plot point that I won't spoil, but he's got a reason to be pissed off at the guys he's shooting, and he really sells it. So it's just very polished. It's a really fun on-rails mech shooter. Unfortunately, we never got the PvP mode that they got on PC. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, for £8, that is a really, really good pickup. I think if you guys haven't played Archangel yet, you will definitely enjoy it if you're into that sort of thing. So,
yeah, I will say, just as a little caveat, Archangel is short. I think it's not even 3 hours, 2 hours?
It's about 3 hours. Yeah, it's about 3 hours.
And my biggest disappointment with that, it would have been fine if they gave us a new Game Plus option, because there were some weapons I hadn't fully upgraded, and I wanted to kind of go through again with my fully powered mech and really blast out all of those options, and they didn't give me a chance to do that, and I was kind of bummed, and then I kind of didn't want to play it again because of that. I don't know. Close Reaper asks, what about Electronauts and Detached? $10 each in the US.
I would always recommend Electronauts. I think that game is fun as hell. It's not really a game, it's more like an experience, but the experience is very cool. Of course, it's Servios, who we all know. We say this all the time. They're a really good VR developer. Yeah. And the music in this game is fun. I love the remix system. And it's so plug and play. You just pop the headset on and you're a DJ. So I've thrown people into this who don't play games, who don't play VR, and they had a great time with it. If you put this on the speakers and let people take turns at a party, you've got the soundtrack for your party right there, and everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
So
I didn't honestly.
They keep adding free songs too. They've added 2 packs.
They did add 35 songs.
Free DLC songs.
Yeah, that was very nice.
That definitely was nice. It's a fun tinker around. I'm not a big fan of Electronauts. I think it's a good game, good interactive music rhythm experience thing, but I'm not a big fan.
Is it because there's not genres of music that you like in it?
Because, if they had metal, AJ would be all over it.
Probably.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, as a person who likes music, I feel like it's a very fun little thing. No, I mean,
metal is music.
No. But what I'm saying is, you as a person. I'm not saying me as a person who likes music. I feel like you as a person who I know likes music. I would kind of expect. I thought you might like it more than that, so I'm kind of surprised.
Between those two, I would absolutely say Detached, even though it's the thing is, though, I like the experience of Detached. So even if you don't finish the game, I feel like you leave with a bigger experience of just floating out in space and stuff. And I really like the first area too. I've replayed the first area 3 times. Just an amazing astronaut simulator experience.
I will say that Detached, I agree, left me more satisfied as somebody who wanted to do something cool in VR. I feel like Electronauts, I wanted to have more control over the song and actually kind of script more things, and I just felt like this is a way to be a no-fail DJ at all times, which makes you feel really cool. But Detached makes you feel like an astronaut and being really try to
I don't know. There's a lot of parts of Detached that don't feel cool. Like when you're slamming into the fucking wall every few seconds and dying.
Get good, or Dave.
The final third of the game is this massive area where they give you no direction on where you're supposed to go. If you don't make it in time, you die in space. If you do make it in time, you might slam into a wall and lose all your progress and start 20 minutes back.
The checkpoints are totally broken. I hate
the checkpoints are totally busted, dude. The checkpoints are busted.
Go into the rooms,
That final stretch of Detached is just a super bummer.
The final part, the final part. But like I said, I still think leading up to that, I still think you walk away with a more impactful experience.
Well, if you want a game, get Detached. If you want a cool experience, a better experience, arguably, in my opinion, get Electronauts.
I will
It's
say,
just what you're
And
into.
if just so you know, like they said, Electronauts does not have any rock music or anything like that. So if you don't like electronic music, then don't get that as well.
I think the thing I always say about
there is
Detached
a wider
something
variety of like. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just something I think I said in my review, and I've been saying ever since. From a gameplay perspective, from like as a game, like the game design in Detached is somewhat broken, right?
Yeah.
Like so, I totally agree with some of the things, but man, it is just an unforgettable experience. Again, do not get motion sick. I don't get motion sick, but it gives you that feeling where you're just like if you put the difficulty all the way up, it is so difficult to control, but in the best possible way. And even if you put difficulty all the way down, it's still an amazing feeling.
You're talking about the simulator controls.
Yeah.
Simulation. That's the only way I did it. I absolutely love controls. I felt like I had tons of control with it too, but we know that doesn't always apply to everyone.
Somebody asked about Robinson. Is that on?
I saw somebody saying Robinson for £6 or something.
Come on. No brainer.
I didn't even like that game, and I'll say that, yeah, it's worth that. Professor Lilith says Tetris Effect at $23. Oh, that's like right on the line for me. The game is usually, what, $40?
Yeah, I launched at $40.
$40 is crazy, but $23 is pretty good. But again, do you like Tetris a lot? Because I didn't like Tetris. I'm not a big Tetris person, but I love the experience that Tetris Effect left me with. So it's one of those. It's like it's not a game that I sank hours and hours and hours into, but it's a great experience.
I will say that Tetris is, again, very, very divisive. And you'll find people saying it's the best VR game they've ever played, the best game of the year, whatever. And I kind of fall somewhere in between. I think if it had multiplayer, it would be amazing, because it's multiplayer. The lack of multiplayer makes it the thing that separates it from every other really enjoyable Tetris game I've ever played. Because once online became a thing, and we all got used to playing Tetris online against each other, we just expected it, and especially playing with like 3 other people and sending blocks to each other, that just became like synonymous with Tetris, like the multiplayer aspect of it. And to leave that out of the of Tetris Effect completely just didn't make any sense to me. That being said, everything else about that game is fantastic. And just to go back to Robinson real quick, I love Robinson. I think Robinson is amazing.
Oh, I don't know. I thought there were some really frustrating mechanics.
It's so janky. It's so janky and buggy. And
I don't think it's janky or buggy. I think it just has some really frustrating puzzles.
It does have. I wouldn't even call them puzzles. If all you got to do is look at a dinosaur and scan it exactly just
I'm talking about the electricity.
Sit there for 20 minutes.
The electricity
I'm just
lines.
talking about scanning some of the bigger dinosaurs. Like, it's so finicky and it's so difficult to actually do that. That you'll just be sitting there with this brontosaurus in front of you, like banging your head against the wall. I don't know.
Sorry.
The last time I played through it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a bitch, man. I can't believe I got to do this. And I would I'd start at one angle and get all I could, and then I'd get around to the other angle and be like, oh, this wasn't that hard after all. I remembered it being just like you're describing. And then when I played it again recently, I was like, oh, this is not nearly as difficult as I remember. Those electricity puzzles, however, are the worst thing on the face of the planet. Those are terrible. Garbage. But for this price, I gotta say, the things it does right are so much better than the things it does wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. When you have to build it, like create a platform to walk across in the mud area, to the tar pits. Oh my god, the tar pits are so.
Oh,
bad.
I hated that. I hated that shit. It was terrible.
I gotta point out what Aceville says here. He says Tetris Effect is both awesome and overrated. It's pretty funny. It's kind of how most people feel. Brian Reichen, hi. Beat Tetris Effect Journey Mode. It was no easy task. Yeah. Tetris Effect, like some people said that $20 is still a bit much for Tetris Effect. It's so hard to say, man. It's so hard to say. Me personally, I'd like to pay like $15 for Tetris Effect. Personally. But
I mean, I don't understand why everybody's like Tetris shouldn't be worth $40 or $30 or whatever, $20 even. Because, like, this isn't just Tetris. This is Tetsuya Mizuguchi's Tetris.
True. That's what makes it really special.
Tetris. It's like an experience. And so I think there's so much extra to it beyond just it's Tetris.
Right.
That makes it super worth experiencing. And, like, if you've got a VR headset and you've ever enjoyed Tetris once in your life, you kind of owe it to yourself to at least try out Tetris Effect.
Yeah, I mean,
VR,
I have no regrets. I paid $35 for it because it had a launch day discount. Even though it's not something I go back to a lot, I still really love the experience, love the music, a lot of the levels and stuff. So Darwin's Eyeball, what's up, dude? He says Borderlands 2 VR is 50% off with DLCs. Anyone who doesn't have it should. If you have an aim controller, I believe you. AJ, you also... Wait, Damad, you said I didn't like Bloody Zombie. I actually did like Bloody Zombie. Dave's the one that didn't like Bloody Zombie. But he didn't know that it had online multiplayer.
I don't care. I still don't think it's a very good game, honestly.
Well, I really loved... I grew up playing, did you ever play...
Well, Streets of Rage, all that stuff. No, I love those games. I love side-scrolling.
No. I played... Not those. Double Dragon. Did you play Double Dragon?
That's
Dragon
the
2?
Same genre of game. That's what
I'm they play a little bit differently. Though.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is I love side-scrolling beat-em-ups. I always have. I just don't think Bloody Zombies is a good one. That's my take on it.
I think it's a good but not great game.
I think Double Dragon's overrated. I think Streets of Rage, Final Fight, those were the good ones. Double Dragon has always been kind of a poor man's version of those games. I know it came out earlier. But man, that shit was clunky as hell on NES.
We all know Turtles in Time, Captain Commando, and the Punisher are the GOAT anyways. Maybe
Aliens vs. Predator.
Ooh, the arcade
one? Yeah.
The arcade game is
amazing. Hell yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh man, can we just talk about that now?
What about Ninja Baseball Batman?
Ninja Baseball Batman.
Did I get the word right? Ninja Batman. Oh crap, man! Now I'm like losing brain cells. We've been doing this for way too long, guys. Ninja. Fuck. Did I get it wrong? Somebody in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
My whole point, Dave, was that I think Bloody
Baseball.
More like Double Dragon. That was my point. It's not like Streets of Rage. I played Streets of Rage. It's more
so
like. So
you're saying it's not as good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. I just because I have that But Lou the Game Cat asks, is raw data worth it for $16? Is it as blurry as the demo? They improved it, but it's still kind of blurry.
It's a great game. Buy it. That was my short review. It's awesome.
Simpson. Oh, Sunshine. What's up? Sunshine. Happy fun times. My dude says, I like the Simpsons arcade at Chuck E. Cheese. I actually really like the Simpson one too.
I just looked it up. I was right. Ninja Baseball Batman is the shit.
Sonic the Game Cat. Of course I said X-Men. Maybe I got cut off or something, but I did say X-Men. I've beaten it.
I totally interrupted you. That was my fault.
Another good one. Not a problem. Raw data, $16. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that game is so much fun. And the story in that game is great. Right? I don't know. I love it. Everything about
Sanador, the Game Tiger, the one that is single-handedly trying to bring Hellsplit to the PSVR. Shuhei acknowledged him. Angry Birds Movie 2 for $20. If you have a family that you want to play co-op with, maybe.
Yeah, that's a downside.
If you have local co-op options, like people to play with, maybe. Otherwise, no, don't buy it for $20.
Yeah. And it's not bad. It's just too expensive. And it's not a typical. Just so you know, it's not a regular Angry Birds game.
Not at all.
The other
like
Angry
Overcooked.
Birds game. Is that all you got, guys? They flooded us for a minute there with some pretty crazy questions, but yeah, is that all you guys got? Anything else you got questions on?
Did you say? I know you.
$25. Absolutely, dude. I paid $40 for Blood and Truth, and yes, absolutely, paid $25 for it. Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned. I don't know if you were going in order, but you said Archangel was my last one.
Right.
It's not actually Polybius. Did you talk about Polybius?
No. Please.
Okay, so Polybius is £6.49, and that's a pretty good price, I think. I love Polybius. We just talked about that in comparison earlier to the new Minotaur arcade game.
Yeah.
But if you've never played Polybius, it's a trip. And if you like classic arcade games or just like visual stimuli, it's one of the good ones. So definitely keep an eye on that one. Did we talk about Pinball FX packs?
Yeah. Yes, that's absolutely worth it. No Man's Sky is also still $25. That's a must-have for sure. I don't care if it's blurry. It's amazing. And let's see, Rabbit Hole.
God, no! Don't buy the Rabbit Hole.
Never buy Rabbit Hole, no matter how cheap it is.
Even if they're giving it away, it's just not good, man.
Not worth your time. Your time is worth something.
Here, without Parole, we value your time just as much as your money. We put that on the back of the box.
Golf is pretty good.
How much is
$20?
everybody's? Yeah, perfect.
$29.
No multiplayer, but man, that is everything else is perfect.
Oh wait, did I not say Killing Floor? I thought I did. Oh, I missed that somehow. Yeah, Killing Floor Incursion for $9.99, definitely. Especially the multiplayer.
Yeah,
the combat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I actually thought Killing Floor. I go back and forth between that and Doom VFR because I love the gameplay of Killing Floor more, but I love Doom since I was a kid. So it's really tough, but I really think Killing Floor is. I don't know.
I think they're much different experiences. I mean, Doom is Doom. Killing Floor, you can take a guy's arm and hit people with it, and that's fun.
Ace was asking about Drone Striker for $5. I was like, no.
Yes. If you like 90s, if you like 90s arcade games,
then play one of those instead.
No,
because this is I want to be a 90s arcade game, and you play it once in 45 minutes. You're like, I never want to play that again.
It's a 90s arcade game in VR. I actually too. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I did. So sue me. Don't Knock Twice. Oh man, Brian's gonna say Don't Knock Twice. I say no.
What's it going for?
Yeah, it was $8, which isn't bad.
I mean, for a scary game, man. It's busted on so many levels as far as
just be ready to play it 4 times.
It's glitchy. It's glitchy. I didn't. So here's the thing. I didn't experience nearly the number of glitches everyone else did. Some people were experienced game-breaking bugs and had some serious issues, crashes, whatever. I think once in my entire playthrough, I was I had to quit and restart.
Chaos is trolling.
And it had some.
Sorry.
And it had some. It had some good scares. And it even scared Dez at one point. And I think that should be on the back of that box, man. Even scared Desra, because nothing scares Desra, and he thought that was legit. So
it has a great atmosphere. It's just so broken. I hate it for how broken it is. Chaos, are you just trolling us, man? Saying Bravo Team half price?
That's what he does.
You need to change your name if you're going to do that.
Even tomorrow. By the way, Chaos's next comment is going to be No Man's Sky Pro patches out. just preparing everybody for what's coming.
Mark Pringles Leaf says Eden tomorrow for $70.99. If you want a sci-fi adventure where you just walk to the end of it, sure.
No.
But that's it.
Nope.
That's it. You just walk to the end of it.
Nope.
It's also really stupid. Really I want to say I think that game is dumb and boring.
Yeah.
I know people liked it. There's a lot of positive reviews out there from people like our friend Polish Paul, who's now departed the chat, and Shug stuff. But I just really can't get on board with Eden tomorrow.
So boring.
Lou, stay away from Viking Days. It's terrible. It's not worth $2.50.
Yeah.
Same with Apocalypse Rider.
One thing I just want to say out loud real quick. We mentioned Doom, and Zek Lightning says, I gave Doom a pass on having to teleport because it's Doom.
Oh.
You don't have to teleport.
That's
not true. Only if you play with the Move controllers, which is honestly,
a different
if you
game
took a
altogether.
poll, everybody's least favorite way to play, except for Brian and other people.
I'm always the smallest little piece of pie in every poll ever.
Pie, yeah.
It's not a piece.
But DualShock 4 or AIM on Doom, totally full locomotion. You can teleport if you want, and it's a useful mechanic to blow people up. That's part of the game, but it's full on Doom. It's Doom. You don't have to teleport. So if you're on the fence because of that reason, strike that from your mind. It's not true.
And then once you strike that from your brain, play through with the Move controllers, put yourself up to the challenge. No turn buttons, man. There's only a 180 flip.
180.
So you got to do a lot of this in your play space, and you're going to be a lot of spinning around quite a bit in your play space. And man, once you get accustomed to it, it is so much fun. But it's not for everybody.
I think it's okay if you want to play it on the normal. The moves are fine, but if you want to ramp it up and play it on get a real challenge going, then the moves are terrible. I'm divided like that. What's
not divided
worse,
at all.
Rabbit hole or cat lateral damage? Rabbit hole?
No, cat lateral sucks.
Probably.
Because cat lateral is so good in 2D mode. It's so much fun to be a cat and knock shit off walls. But and then they give you a totally different game that's not fun at all when you switch to VR. At least down the rabbit hole is
but it's got cats at least.
You do have these adorable giant paws as move controllers, but it's still not fun. Down the rabbit hole,
Neither.
at least you can beat it and has puzzles that are mildly interesting if you really want to put the time in. No, Cat Lateral is unfortunately really bad.
What's the worst game on sale?
Oh, jeez.
Is it Bravo Team?
Can we go back to Bravo Team just because?
Yeah, I would just say Bravo. Oh. Don't buy Bravo Team. And Bravo Team's. What's funny is Bravo Team's not even like the worst PSVR game, but God, it's just so frustrating and so bad. Like
because it could have been good.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and
so massive. I got something for you to talk about, AJ. We've got Red Soldier asking, is Sprint Vector worth a buy? It's on sale in the PS Store. What do you think about that?
How much is it going for?
Yeah, how much is it going for? I think it's like 13, 15. Sprint Vector is a must-buy. Yeah. Absolutely. Even if the multiplayer portion is not really there anymore, going against the AI, you'll spend the majority of the game learning how to play the game. So the AI will be challenging at first. The problem is, eventually, they'll be really easy for you. But there's leaderboards, so you can set leaderboards against the world. There's also challenge levels, which are really, really awesome. So there's plenty of content. There's several hours. I have probably close to like 40, 50 hours in Sprint Vector. Not like, okay, if you took out the multiplayer, maybe like 25 hours, 30 hours in Sprint Vector. Absolutely good. Get it. Single player is fine. There's plenty to do. Play the campaign, play the challenges. You got plenty.
And then join our Discord server and get a game together. Get a bunch of people playing because that game is 8-player. And
yeah,
and man,
absolutely.
I just love. I don't know. I just love knowing that all the other players that I'm racing against are real people. And as soon as the race is over and the voice chat kicks back in, everyone's like, you just hear everyone breathing. It's so funny.
Yeah. Laura TG Gamer asked Apex Construct for £10.
Yes.
I don't even like the game that much, but yes.
Yeah, they've improved some of the parts of it that I didn't like. Like the keyboard thing they fixed. The keyboard thing was god awful, but yeah.
Kyle Gaffney says thoughts on Titanic for $7.99.
I told him to pass.
I don't think so. I mean, it's
not worth it.
It's almost worth it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Like if you're just really wanting a Titanic experience, maybe, but it's not very good.
I stand by my review on that one. Like, the graphics are really low res and all of the stuff in the laboratory is boring and pointless. It's like, just put this in this water, now put it in this water, and put it in this water. And like, it's not even as immersive as it should be. It's all clunky and not fun. But there is something about, going down into the water and exploring the Titanic in VR. That's
the fun part. The video stuff, the video experience part, trash.
Oh god, no, it's not even the same as it is on the PC version. In PC, it's actually like a VR video, but
right.
On PlayStation VR, it's a 360 video, and it looks horrible. It's too dark. It's not fun to watch. So, I mean, if you really, really want this game, now is the time to buy it because full price probably is not where it's at.
Xander Falk says, I picked up Mortal Blitz in the UK. Super fun. Surprised no one talks about it anymore. I actually loved Mortal Blitz at first. I was like one of the few people talking about it when I got it for like, I think $10. It's basically like a Time Crisis in VR. However, it's incomplete. And that's why nobody talks about it because it's, whether you like it or not, it's an incomplete game.
But it's like an hour long, really, right?
Yeah, but I still think it is good though for what it is.
I was like when people are like, why doesn't anyone talk about this game anymore? I was like, because it's like 2.5 years old, right? We all talked about it to death when it came out, and we all were like so hyped on it, and be like, Mortal Blitz is great, it's so much fun. And then other games came out. Like that's why no one talks about it. I still think,
as far as like a Time Crisis style game, it's still really good. If you have played Crisis Brigade and you're done with that, you want to try something else. Mortal Blitz is pretty much that. I mean, it's like node based, but you've got the cover system and you're moving forward constantly.
Yeah.
And in some ways,
the whip thing where you like, it's like slows down time and you grab them and like rip them apart and stuff. Oh, so much fun.
Yeah, it's not as crisp as Crisis Brigade, but it's not as hard, and it's probably more detailed in a way. Like, I mean, it's not just cartoon characters; they're actual like enemies that look like at least Time Crisis 2 or 3 level of enemy, and it's fun. So if you haven't played it yet, especially the slowing down time mechanic is really fun.
Right.
So
you guys were talking about 90s arcade games earlier, and like this is it has that voice, that rewards you for doing a crazy combo in slow motion, and that is ripped straight out of a 90s arcade game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Floppy Pants, the Game Cat Jedi. It says AJ Sumley Beat Saber. I've had this game in my cart for ages, but cannot part with $24.99. Just buy it. It's you don't need that game on sale. It's worth full price. There you go. Damad says, when's the last time you played Bravo Team? Heard the update fixed some issues. It did fix some issues. It still sucked. Irek says, hey guys, is Paper Dolls worthy buy? What do you think, Brian?
I think stay tuned for Monday's episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. For all of your Paper Dolls needs.
I'm also going to be checking out Paper Dolls really soon. So, unfortunately, I don't think it makes a good stream.
It doesn't. The game is super crazy dark, and especially like during a stream, especially, I don't know. It's tough to watch someone else play Paper Dolls, but man, that game was already kind of priced accordingly. Like they knew the game was sort of busted when it came out. But there's a pretty cool puzzle game hidden underneath the darkness in really, really janky controls. You're gonna break your move controllers by alternating the triggers to walk. Click, 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 click. And the DualShock 4 just isn't fun to use in that game specifically. So your call, but that's my take on it.
Marvel's getting talked about. Marvel's.
Well, we're not going to talk about Marvel's. I already told the guy that you like Marvel's.
Marvel's is great. How much is it?
Discussion.
How much is
Brian
Marvel's?
likes Marvel's.
How much is Marvel's?
Still don't buy it.
Marvel's is an 8-hour N64 game.
No, how dare you say that about N64 games?
Go back and play one. They're not as good as you remember. I promise you.
I just went back and beat Bomberman Adventure and Mario 64. I beat for like the 8th time, like 3 years ago. So I mean, come on, that's not that long ago.
Okay.
Like that's what I was doing before I got my VR. So,
Marvel's is great. It's a very low budget version of an N64 platformer, but it's got tons of secrets. It's got tons of levels. The bosses are annoying, but man, for the sale price, just know what you're getting into. It's great.
So real quick, AJ, this one I think we should give to you. Sanador says, what is the easiest PSVR Platinum? You know this, right? What is it?
Mind Labyrinth.
I'm thinking Mind Labyrinth.
Mind Labyrinth.
Mind Labyrinth or Job Simulator. Mind Labyrinth or Job Sim, probably. Or actually Luna. Luna is like, it's like 30 minutes long and you can get a platinum. So there's that one too.
I didn't know Luna had a platinum. Damn.
It did. It has like 6 trophies.
That's crazy.
Something like that. It's like 6 or 12 trophies. So it's okay. A little interactive art piece. But honestly, one of my favorite platinums, I always tell people, is Moss. I loved. It took me only 7 hours to both beat the game and get the platinum, and that's like so much quality, and like getting a platinum as well.
Because I think we gotta start wrapping this up. We've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours, and
It's been fun though. I really love everybody for giving all the suggestions.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a ton of work to do on the PSVR award show, so keep in mind, everybody. We'll try to keep the teasers coming out for that over the next couple days. But man, I really got my back against the wall right now. I got a lot of stuff to get together in a very short amount of time for the PlayStation VR award show. Expect not only a ton of cool announcements and a ton of cool surprises, but also, a ton of cool awards. And that's it. It's gonna be great. I promise.
3 days, guys. Award show. Let's go.
Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Keep set an alarm or something. I don't know. Set a notification.
We are very excited, Brian. Much more excited than you. We are very excited. Hope you all too. Hope you guys can all join us. Set an alarm. Would you say 3 p.m.?
3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
On Sunday, guys.
Sunday.
It's already been posted on Reddit, so the word is getting out. Posted everywhere. Make sure everybody comes.
That's right.
Get your mama and come watch it with her. It'll be family friendly.
We'll see.
It's the only family friendly thing you'll ever see from Brian.
That might be the case. Yeah, I don't know if there's any. I don't think there's any swearing. There's very little nudity. I mean, minor, frontal only. Not sure that's how that works. All right, you guys, make sure you join us over on Discord, because Discord is where we hang out like 24/7. Click that link in the description and come hang out with us over there. If you've never used Discord before, I promise you, it's not nearly as daunting as it seems. Yes, Immortal Legacy, Kevgret. Buy Immortal Legacy. Everyone buy Immortal Legacy. Jesus, it's on our top 20 list. We just did a Why We Love. Everyone should know how great that game is already, including you, Kevgret. Even Kevgret says it's worth $10. And so that should tell you something right there. Do we have a sound effect for our good friends?
Name that cat.
That's a tiger.
I don't know. Tiger?
I don't know. I hate this game.
Okay. Yeah, no. Well, anyways.
Thank you so much, Zalan Maru, for the $5 donation saying keep up the hard work. I certainly will because, well, that's all. That's all I do.
It's his actual job now, so yeah, he has to.
It was a bobcat, guys. It was a bobcat.
So tiger family then. Perfect. I don't think that's true. So besides Discord, make sure you come hang out with us at Six Flags. That's the weekend following this weekend. We're going to be there on October 19th all day, hanging out, going on roller coasters, doing the haunted house Fright Fest stuff at night. It's gonna be awesome. Six Flags New England. Make sure you come hang out with us then. Also hit us up on patreon.com/withoutparole.
Games.
I don't think that had anything to do with the delay.
I was reading the. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Give us $1 or more every single month if you like what you see, because that's what we're working on right now. We're working with a little bit of YouTube ad revenue and Patreon support. That's how this channel runs. Guys, thank you, AJ. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Cats. We'll see you guys next week.
I can't remove a mod's comment. Yeah. Damn you, Nick Mulo. Don't spread those lies. All right, guys. Oh, real quick, yeah. Thank you, Xander Paul, Club 3 for Games, the mod, Nick Mulo. No, thank you, Nick. No, you get out of here, Nick. Kev Garrett, Lou the Game Cat, Andrew Knox, Delirium. Stay tuned, guys. Delirium, Drew, PSVR Game Cat, Darwin's Eyeball, Gabriel, Christ, Fistbump, Secrets of Zayla, Pontiac, Sunshine, Happy Fun Times, Red Soldier, Slick Willie, JB, aka Great Ted, Hilla, Ricks. See you soon, my friend. Drunky, what's up, man? Name the cat.
Oh, that's just a kitty cat. It's a calico.
That's that.
That's my neighbor. That's not a cat. My neighbor sounds like that.
Come on. Okay,
that's a cow. That was a cow. I heard that last one. Total.
The cow was a tiger, actually.
What? The cow was a tiger.
The one before that was actually a serval, which I don't know if you know what a serval is.
No one would know that off the top of their head, AJ.
I need to talk to Reth right away. You need to talk to Reth. What have you done, Reth?
I'm sorry, Reth. I sold you out. Run! Run! I'll protect you.
I'm coming to find you in the Discord.
He's coming, Reth. Get out while you can.
Good night, everybody. We love you all.